We meet again.
I'll blubber. Yeah. Oh.
Since we gonna have to get comfortable, we gonna have to move this bag. I know it's fly, but we gonna have to, I'm
no
Hello. And welcome to Warders Midwest. Today we have this special guest, Tuyeni Akanke. And Ching and Chick Ching. So
Ching.
Yeah, Chick Ching.
Just like the money sound.
Yeah.
Chick Ching. Can I say it like that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Chick Ching. There we go. That's better. So we will be going over there's actually a retrograde with Saturn that started. It didn't start today. It started like a day
yesterday.
Ooh. So we're gonna talk about that and how that's gonna affect us. And thankfully, we have a master educator with us in the spiritual arts, and we're gonna have her talk about her background as well.
And I'm gonna talk about how I looked into it and I ran into a literal sense of what they said, and it literally smacked me in the face. But that's later on. Sorry. Go ahead, T.
And we're also gonna talk about new single from Chick Ching.
Yeah, I got a project too.
Oh, and a project on the way. Maybe she'll do some special stuff for us. Possibly join in on the cipher off air, and then catch us later for that. But also we're going to be talking about. I'm going to forget all the different topics right now. This is I think this is the largest. We have a few more people, but it's just larger cast. Wait, not what's her name? Yeah, last week actually we had two guests too. And that's probably the first time. We haven't been doing two guests for a while, but we're getting back into the thing. So. I'm trying to remember the other two topics right now. Yeah, right now, shout out to Stockyard Coffee for having us here.
Beautiful space.
We truly appreciate y'all for having us here. Shout out Swank PR. This past Monday was a media mashup. That's what it's called by Swank PR. Shout out to Big Sister Brianna Gatlin. If you did not make it out to that event, make sure you make it out to one of her Monday night Raw events at the High Noon Saloon in Wicker Park. It's a very awesome networking space. Everyone there usually is really friendly. Especially her, and usually the highlight feature that she has, which can be a range of people from media to performance to so many other things. So,
I mean, any ginger.
But
I caught the 222.
You're like, I'm a man. I can't.
So the other discussions that will be happening today, there was a school shooting this week, so I think we'll just brush over that just ever so briefly.
Don't give it too much time, though.
Nah, not too much time. And no offense to the people that lost people during that. Just want to touch base on it. Measles outbreak and vaccination. I want to talk about that with people.
It's everywhere. It's real.
Oh yeah. And I want to talk about the reality of it, the fabrication of it, and I don't know your opinion. But yeah, actually, I think I want to play a song. Someone, a good friend of ours, said that we should play a song at the beginning of every show. Or I shouldn't say good friend, a good guest of ours said that we should play the song at the beginning of every show. So I'm going to take his advice because he was a pretty solid guy, and I like his music. And he was on last week. So shout out to him, and I would like for everyone to listen to an unreleased track. Shout out to Big Brother. Maybe he's the same age or maybe he's younger. Shout out to Brother Lord Haiti.
Okay.
It's the fam right there. And he is the producer on this track. Just a second. He's a producer on this track. It's one of our favorites and it's a good intro song.
Thank you, love.
Really excited to have all these different spectrums of conversation today.
You want sugar or honey?
Neither is fine for me. This is all good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Oh, yes. So good. That's more spicy. Somebody at the bottom. I got
You'll just plug it right here.
Yes. So check it out. This is me and Brother Impact. The track Consent. Right back out to the break.
My curiosity has got me thinking on the other side of me. I should be grateful. thinking on the other side of me. I'm such
Apologize about that.
lately. My curiosity has got me.
That's all right.
And I'm confused because this is not
Really?
It was
playing
produced by Haiti.
the
Oh,
right
that's what's up.
track. I don't know what is going on right now.
Yeah, you got a nice little voice. I like not little, but I like the flow. I do. It's something. I'm like,
don't know
what
what's
is
going
it?
on.
I'm just, where is it? Where is it? I can sit back and just sip.
Yeah, right.
It's like, where is
Why
Where's the
are
babe?
all
Where's
these
the next
things
good?
happening right now? This is so weird. I don't know what is going on.
My curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. See, my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such an ego. I'm a ego. But you stay low. What's the reason? I should be content. So why do I look? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I present. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just the face, why ain't I growing out of it? Looking back past tense, we in the age of spin. I'm black on couldn't keep this one together, here a bit. Over back and forwards every way I try to bend. You know it hurt me bad because she left me at the prince. But first she hit me with it. I gotta get scared. And came back bawling out her eyes full of tears. And grabbed me by the hand and said, I think that this should end. And that was about a week before our 3-year end. My curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful.
I'm back in the right here.
My curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a
today? Now we are together.
She's so awesome, by the way.
So why do I look big? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I was in. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just the face, why he not growing out of it? Was it all the when you running in and out of my DMs or the videos they see me in?
Even though Southside is repping, I'm Southside is repping. I'm from the West Side, but this spot is 37th. What is it? 37th.
Wow.
Right by the White Sox Stadium. So come on, call me. Because I know I like it. Mr. B, all about my brother. I'm very well. I am very well. I will call you soon.
So my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a
Thanks and honor to those who are watching. Giving thanks and honor to God for the opportunity. Like, this is how
I should be content. So why do I look big? And it ain't even you, it's really myself I was in. Not typical of him to be like all the other men. And if it's just the face, why ain't I growing out of it? You know it sucks when you start to lose your friends. And everyone's closer than the one previous. That's when all relationships can seem tedious. Because my emotions can seem easy. Feel like that, it's time to play this red. Got all the bad emotions removed, the negative. Roll emotions love to get positive. You always my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I should be grateful. So my curiosity has got me thinking about the other side of things. I'm such a a-hole.
So thank you so much for everyone who is will be joining us shortly. That was just me and Brother Impact. That is a yet to be released track, produced by Brother Lord Haiti. Yeah, I must be moving around a lot today. I feel like moving. I
Hey,
don't know.
shout out on the
Which one
80s shirt, man. I just seen the flaps on them shoulders, goddamn it.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
that low shirt. You
I
remember
felt-
when he already all messed up, Buster Jordan, creeping on his daughter, trying to, you know what I'm
never-
saying?
I actually never.
Quick.
I actually never
Yeah.
seen that movie. I'm not
What
gonna
you
lie.
doing,
I've seen
Dad?
that thing.
What are you doing there? I'm just playing.
I think the Daddy on Boys in the Hood had that on.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But it was the
That's
80s,
what
though.
it- shout out
It
John.
was.
That's what you know what. Shout out
John
John Singleton. That's something we need to talk about today.
Oh, we
actually.
didn't cover that.
We did not cover that. That's something we need to talk about.
I'll show
And,
There it is.
right now, we'd like to take one moment of a segment we call Moment of Silence for Brian.
That's how you know it's gonna be good.
you, Brian.
No, I think it's actually on the YouTube. I think it's YouTube app. But if you do it on your phone, I think it's complete.
And we're back.
And we're back. Thank you so much again for Sackyard Coffee. As you see, we are chilling. You see the island trees in the back, the foliage in the background. So I want to begin the conversation with actually. So since we just brought up John Singleton, I don't know a whole lot of situation. I heard that he was in a coma due to some complications with his health. That's all I really have. Does anyone else have any more information? I don't want to speak ill on anything.
The
Did he
articles,
pass away?
the articles that I read
I believe he's
spoke
in a
to
coma,
him
correct, right?
suffering from a stroke.
And he's in a coma right now.
Yeah, and I did hear that
Nobody's
he was in a coma. And actually on life support, so less of a coma and more on like the machines are breathing for him. And so I also read an article later yesterday where the family had decided to pull the plug. And so he has now become an ancestor for us.
Much love to Brother John Singleton. Many of his films really motivated me and inspired me as a child.
And they taught you to never scratch lottery tickets in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
You need your attention.
No more.
lottery tickets in
Especially
that.
not in South Central LA.
South Central.
But John Singleton, I think that he paved the way for honesty. Well, he was one of the people who paved the way for like honesty in Black film. I think that due to the lack of, I'm just gonna say it, the lack of critical thinking skills and background knowledge, I don't think that everybody in the culture really understood his art for what it was. I think that everybody
It was some people were misled to believe glorifying some of the violence and some of the behavior instead of seeing the actual like breaking down of like new age archetypes of different people in different areas. Because that's why that film was so relatable.
He brought
Because
the reality to you usually see like the white picket fence and everything just looking so perfect. And he really brought the grunge that we African Americans see in our day-to-day lives. And even if we glorify it or not, are we not seeing this in our neighborhoods?
But even
is it
how
more realistic than the white picket fence?
Yeah, but even highlighting, I think going back to Terry, what you just spoke to about the different archetypes of the African American. We think about, Ice Cube as that individual.
Gangster, yeah.
He was gangster, but
the aggressive gangster person.
who
right?
get bussed out to go to the great school.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think about me being that person. I was the one in my community who would get bussed out. I'm hooded in that thing. We gonna have the baseball bats in the middle of the street fighting my neighbors, but in the morning I'm actually gonna be going to Lincoln Park to school. And that's just what it was. Yeah. And so just in understanding like the dichotomy of lifestyle that you have to live, like really being a scholar and going home and being from the hood, you know what I'm saying? Like that, those are two different disciplines that you literally have to feel like you need to master in order to balance life and survive. So I value John Singleton for really just taking it all there, and then thinking about Dre, that was his name, right? Who was raised by the single father, right?
So, Dre, yeah.
And just talking, thinking
that was
about
what's his Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm thinking about just how like the role of the single father, that's also something that's not
always discussed. And I think that was beautifully like shown. And I think the best part about I undermine that entire relationship. Like both of his parents were not together, but they weren't arguing. They were cooperating and they were speaking clearly and like in terms of raising the child. It's like and she didn't even disrespect his father. It's like, oh, what I'm supposed to do because I've been cutting up. She's like, go to your father. You know what I mean? Like still in that same dichotomy. It's like there still is a parental relationship there, even if there's a disconnect in the romantic relationship.
That's co-parenting.
Co-parenting.
Yeah, but then you can't blame like a lot of the masters for kind of just taking the violence on all the other aspects when there's a whole spoof movie about it. You know what I mean? It tries to undermine it. It's like today's meme culture, how we discuss how certain speeches and things get broken down to a joke. Right?
Yeah.
That's true.
And you know, Don't Be a Menace to South Central.
So you can abuse in the hood.
Yeah.
You know
Truth
what I mean?
and Jest, like because that movie was it took all the like because it wasn't John Singleton wasn't I don't think he was the director of all the movies they made fun of, but I think that they were like taking all the serious aspects and like you said making like funny out of like all of the truth of all like the climax point.
They were commercializing what the humor in shooting and drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fiends and drug dealers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the bad stereotypes that were boosting them, but they were using films that actually meant something, that were made, black made, and you know what I mean? It really did. Again, you made a point that
I agree with, but like you know what? Right now, when I just heard Ching, what she just said, she's like, I think they were mocking them, and now as I think about them, like it was so exaggerated.
Well, yeah, they were mocking him. It even got to the point. It was at the end. Remember when he gets into that speech, and what's his name? One of the Wayans brothers, the skinny one, he's like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
He came up because he kept saying message the whole movie, and he just said something that just didn't make any sense, and he said, "What?" Yeah, like what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm glad that you all brought that up because this speaks to the ignorance within American culture, not just the African American culture. We see it played out in the cultures of color all of the time. But you know, it's like one of the things that always happens in our culture is that, you know, because people are ignorant and because the quality of education in America is lacking, you have individuals laughing at something that they should be looking deeper into, and that they should be taking more seriously. I mean, and you have adults doing this, so this is why children are following suit. And so
serious though.
Yeah, that's one thing. You know, that's why I don't really go to many comedy shows. I'm not gonna sit up and laugh at things that, you know, I don't think
it is hard. Yeah,
I don't even think that Don't Be a Menace to Society while Drooping Your Droops in the Hood was funny. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we as a culture laugh at that I don't think is funny, like Tyler Perry.
I don't. Yeah, people get.
I don't like to kill them. I love the playfulness. Like I feel like keeping that playfulness. It stops a bitterness from forming in your heart. Like, yeah, we know we got done unjust. Yes, we know POCs got done unjust. Yeah, we know this is a big market. Yeah, we know when the white people take our styles, it's not for just because they like our styles. That's mockery. Because when they come in our neighborhoods and take our culture, that's mockery. You know,
I think to mock somebody is to make them mad.
You know,
and one of the things is that I don't feel as like Latinos say. I don't think we should be mocking ourselves. You know what I mean? There's so many other people to do it.
Right.
And especially when something big is done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because those movies are accomplishments. You know what I mean? They're not just movies. And when you do undermine them, you know what I mean? They're black actors, you know what I mean, that are put in these roles because they're getting paid. But think of the intention behind that, really. You know what I mean?
It's definitely demeaning, you know?
Yeah.
But see, like certain things, I think, like I was just really speaking for like Tyler Perry. I don't think he's coming from a harsh place. I really feel like sometimes he's coming from a lighthearted place because, you know, a lot of people try to interpret. It's just weird. I just think it's the only thing I think about that whole scenario with the men wearing dress thing is I just think it's weird that people are depicting people's ancestors as men, women. Why do you want to get a woman to be a funny woman?
Okay, so before we get too far off task,
why was that?
But before we get too far off task, I do want to like start the interview and stuff. I do appreciate that conversation is dope, but yeah, I don't want to rain too much on.
Absolutely.
I apologize. I didn't interject.
And no
But-
offense to the transgender community.
Yeah, no.
Or any of that. I just have to say that.
Yeah, that
That
was
was-
quick because I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about ignorant black folk.
No, that's what I was thinking. That's what I say. That's what I also find kind of funny though.
You
Within
drink
the
anything
same
else with your
realm.
coffee?
Lighthearted.
You
But,
drink anything else with your coffee?
Yeah, Tuyeni, are you originally from Chicago?
I
Is there sugar stuff
am.
in there?
We gonna
Oh,
wait
sorry.
until.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Cream.
I am originally from Chicago. I'm from the west side of Chicago, from what we call K-Town. And so depending upon where you from in Chicago.
What is K-Town mean for those?
Yeah,
who don't know?
Literally the.
I know y'all not talking while I'm talking.
This one, mine?
I think so.
There we go. Yeah.
Respect the mic. We gotta do y'all like we do at the open mics. But no, so depending upon where you from, right? So some people consider like parts of Holy City to be K-Town. Okay, so like 16th and Kildare, 16th and Kettville, 16th and Keeler, like the numbers where the K's are. Well, I'm from like the west side, like the northwest side where the K's are. So, we still got the Kettville, Costner division, things of that nature, but there's no numbers associated with where we're from. It's just all streets, so like for me, being like from the west side, that's authentic K-Town because there ain't no south side, ain't nothing the south part of it. When you go to Holy City and you go to 16th and Kildare, what twisting them from, that's more so, something about like the southwest side, but we still consider that the west side too. But I'm from like the west side, K-Town. Yeah, so not far from the Austin area, about 15 minutes from Oak Park, things of that nature.
Okay. That's dope. So where did you go to school at out there? Did you go to? Was it any one of those big trade schools or?
Yeah. So what do you mean?
Charter?
High school?
Not trade. Yeah, for high school, like one of the big big charter schools, or are they like roulette schools here? I'm not sure how.
It's interesting that you said trade school. That's interesting because I went to Charles Allen Prosser Career Academy, which is a vocational school.
Okay.
So it is a school where you could go and practice trade. So I was a smart kid, right? So I ended up getting into the IB program, but I was also from the hood. So I got kicked out of the IB program because I got caught with an X-Acto knife. So I still stay in
Salutations to you. I'm in the same club. Started IB.
Right, okay.
Scandalous reasons, yeah.
Right. But look at us now. You understand? We're able to still do what IB couldn't hold us back from doing. And I think that the real big difference between IB and regular honors was that hard AP.
No, you know what? I did really great in testing, but just on a side note, I was lied to because my sister was my guardian. I didn't want to be an IB, but I placed really high. So they said my sister wanted me to keep doing it. I told my counselor, how do I get out?
Yeah.
Myself, she's like, you got to fail the entire year. I was so hard-headed that I failed the entire year. Now, I got credits before high school, I was nothing wrong with my intelligence. I was just that hard-headed. I lost my mom early. But my whole point is that I failed all that. And then in the summer, I found out I only had to fail one class because they had to mandatory take geometry in summer school before. So if I would have just failed one class, I wouldn't have been sent back a whole year. But it was my fault, obviously. But yeah, shout out to IB dropouts. Because you choose to get out.
Yeah, I mean, man, but they kicked me out because part of the IB stipulations was you couldn't get a 10-day suspension to stay in the program. And I had gotten a 10-day suspension. Yeah, and then the week before I had gotten arrested, it was the same. But
So how did that change? So I know from being on Q4 radio with Bella on WMW radio that you have a background and you went to was it Howard?
I did go to Howard University. So you asked me how did I get from the West Side getting kicked out of IB to Howard University? Well, you could take the girl out of IB, but you can't take the IB out of the girl. Like no, So when I was 12 years old, believe it or not, I went to middle school in Lincoln Park, Louisiana Alcott Middle School, and Mrs. Wynn Buckner. So first of all, Mrs. Wynn Buckner was like super mean. I thought she was gonna be like the black grandma type. She was the black like grandma that you don't want to go to her house type. And so, but one thing that Miss Wynn Buckner did, and I'm so happy that I knew me and grandma, she talked about Howard. at first she talked about Morgan because she said her son was getting ready to go to Morgan State for college, but she was like, I cannot mention Morgan without talking about the #1 HBCU in the country, Howard University. And then she talks about all of these celebrities who went to Howard and all of these individuals who went to Howard. And I was like, I looked at a person who was my friend for a while. I looked at her and I said, I'm going to Howard. She was like, I am too. And everybody black in the room was like, we going to Howard, we going to Howard. And I was at 12 years old. I promised, I swore to myself that I would not break that promise. And despite the fist fights, that was 12. I had my first street brawl when I was 14. I still was like, I'm going to Howard. You know, I used to get into a bunch of different, you know what I'm saying? I got into trouble. I got into fights, things of that nature. My GPA I always maintained its heights. I always had good scores, you know, on standardized tests. I've always had the gift of gab. I've always been just like an intellect, if you will. It's just having to, you know, I was 300 pounds most of my life. I was a heavy set, you know, girl. So I always had to feel like I was always defending my physical self and my spiritual self, and all. So that's where all of the fighting and the conflict came from. But I don't really want to fight for real. I wasn't really trying to be about that life. It was just,
trying to be heard.
Yeah, I was just trying to be heard.
Like
Yeah.
Being allowed to exist, which is what most of us want anyway.
I feel like if you go through a struggle, like a lot of time people look at you and think like, oh, that's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But you sometimes want to yell out like, you can't handle this. Like, you know what I mean? This is tough. And sometimes, you know, it's people want to be strong, but at the same time, you know, people aren't ever going to get that credit. So it's a frustration in and out, I feel like.
Well, I think that for me, I mean, because when we talk about the development of the human, right? From 0 to 7, the individual is developed physically. And the individual's root chakra is developed, and their sense of, you know, basic needs being met is developed. Well, my basic needs weren't met because my mother wasn't in my life. So a lot of people didn't realize, like, you know, all right, we got this strong, smart girl whose father is always showing up for her. Her grandparents are always here. She has this strong foundation. But I didn't realize, my father and my grandparents didn't realize that I was emotionally in turmoil because my mother had been absent. Really, since I was born, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, my dad was there, but she had really been physically absent since I was 3. So I was really going through puberty, emotional turmoil. I was not, you know, my mother wasn't there, so that the spiritual connection between the umbilical cord was tainted by her absence and her really drug abuse. So, yeah, I went through what a lot of girls from the hood I went through and are going through. And it's just a matter of feeling like, you know, I'm somebody and society tells me all of these things. And on a cellular level, we're still experiencing what our ancestors experienced. And so there's so much happening at the same time. And there are so many people who are experiencing the same thing internally and externally, but they are ignorant to what it is. So, you know, you just have generations of people suffering in turmoil until somebody comes along and is like, this is the answer, this is the way, this is what is happening. Or until you kind of get that awakening, you know, that intrinsic clarity, like, wow, I've been doing this all wrong. Wow, you know. But I got to Howard University and I saw girls looking how I look now. I saw girls wearing hair wraps, and I was just like, what is that? What are they doing? And they look beautiful, and, you know, I hadn't learned about my culture. I thought that being black meant being poor. I thought that being black meant that, you know, everybody's slow except for a couple of people in the class. You know, I thought that being black was a condition and not an identity. And so I literally went to Howard University, and everything that I thought was black was literally smashed on the ground. And, you know, in my book, Let Me Be Free, which is a book of poetic memoirs, it's an audio book. I tell the story. It is available. It's on iTunes. It's on Apple Music. It's on Amazon. And I also
said it's, what is it called again?
It's called Let Me Be Free. Yeah, when the chains of life no longer suffice. And so I outlined every single journey of my life through that book. And so, and I outlined the journey. I outlined how much it hurt. I outlined what I had to do to heal through it. And really, like, you know, one of the songs that I sent you, well, it's not a song, it's a story. It's called Leap of Faith. Like, I literally had to take a leap of faith.
You perform poetry for some
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a spoken word artist. I function. So I perform all over the city. I actually just performed at the Goodman Theater in downtown on Saturday for Black Lives, Black Words, which is an international movement. I feature all over the city. I've been featuring since the summer of 2017. When I moved back to Chicago the summer of 2016, and I really just had to settle back into the city. It was a lot, like leaving for 10 years and then coming back to live. For real, whoa, there was just so much I had to deal with. So I came back on the scene the summer of 2017, and I've been back ever since. And people who have heard me, they remember me.
So now we talk about like the introduction of you getting into Howard and like kind of seeing a new Black identity.
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually play this poem for everyone, or this piece, I guess I'll call it. Is there any way you could cue up the for us? Play it from that. But I guess until we get that queued up and everything. So what was like your spiritual introduction to everything? Was that also at Howard, or did you like graduate first and then just go on another journey afterwards?
So in hindsight, I will say that.
And what was for everyone that doesn't know, what was your major in while you were at Howard University?
Oh, let's get it. Okay, so while at Howard, I majored in public relations. My minor was fashion merchandising. I'm real fly, you know what I'm talking about. In graduate school, I have 2 master's degrees in education. So one of them being in special education, the other being in elementary education. And so I got my master's degrees through a pilot teacher preparation program called the Urban Teacher Center from Lesley University. So I didn't get my master's degrees from Howard, but my bachelor's degree is from the Howard University. And my master's degrees make my resume look dope. My bachelor's degrees made my spirit and my heart, my soul, my identity be dope.
And a lot of people say that too. They say when you go to undergrad, you should go to undergrad for like what you're like passionate about, and like when you go for like anything above that, you should go for like some sort of like anything you want to do in academia or something that you want to take. Because at that point now you're investing in a role or a lifestyle that's involved.
And you don't really know yourself. Yeah, you don't really know yourself. I would say when I went to Howard, I was always kind of spiritual, if you will. Like I knew there was some higher power. But how I got to where I am today, I graduated from Howard, and I literally was on campus and looking around. My dad came, my mother, my biological mother came, my grandparents, one of my little sisters was there, and I remember looking around, being like, I'm so not fulfilled. I mean, I'm getting a bachelor's degree, right? I'm from the #1 Black university in the country. I didn't have to take an extra year. Like I was on time. My GPA was pretty dope. And I'm just looking around like this
but
is
was that what you wanted, or was that what you thought you wanted? On paper, this is what you wanted, and you get it, and it's like it's not. You don't have like a fulfillment. So
Howard University was what I wanted. The degree was what I thought. So Howard University was what I needed. The degree was what I thought I wanted. What I soon found was that I was still lost. And so even after my year after school, I realized that being a teacher was part of my destiny. So I ended up, and again, my book tells all of this. So I ended up, getting a master's degrees fell in my lap. And once I went through that journey, it was my graduation from my master's degree program was May 18th, 2013, and I did not go to the graduation. Instead, I was sitting at a spiritual retreat. And when we went around to introduce ourselves, I did not mention that I was getting a master's degree that weekend. I mentioned that I was from the west side of Chicago and I was ready to heal. For me, it did not matter that I needed to sit up. I could talk about my credentials all day long. And it did not matter to me that I didn't show up to my graduation. It mattered to me that I had shown up to a place to heal, because I knew that my graduation wasn't going to get to the depths that retreat had gotten to. And I would say that is the weekend that my life changed. And I started my spiritual journey.
Would you like to talk about the track Leap of Faith before we play it?
Yeah, so Leap of Faith is it kind of speaks for itself. It is understanding that despite what we experience, despite what we go through, that you have to take the leap of faith. Life is truly about being in your flow. And in order to be in your flow, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself. Bigger than yourself. You have to know that if you fall and bust your ass, excuse my French, you were meant to bust it. Because in the repair of said ass, excuse me, you're gonna find some blessings. You're gonna find some light.
You ain't gotta excuse yourself.
As is a full go.
I'm about to say, you can say ass, shit, fuck.
Okay. Y'all know we on radio.
On this show, you can actually you can
Okay.
actually say things that offend other people on this show. You're actually allowed to say that.
Okay.
You're actually not allowed to like fly off the handle, because we can say, hey, that offended you. Don't say that again.
Okay.
Before we can get to that space, because not everybody knows what offends everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I look, hey. Since we said ass. No, I'm joking. But yes, Leap of Faith is really about, it was about the journey that I had to take in order to just say, I'm doing this and I'm going to commit to my destiny.
And here comes Leap of Faith. I feel like the setting's perfect for this.
With my team.
One day, while I walk with my thoughts, I decided to let my gifts be open in the present. I chose to swallow my apprehensions, let them digest through the large intestines of my faith, and swallow what is left of doubt, to be released in the toilet shit I don't need. Today I decided that I wouldn't let my human self get the best of me. At the core of this skeleton is an undying soul and a spirit that is immortal too. That human in me gets stuck in the detriment of what if, and so I never even tried or allowed procrastination to force me to produce under pressure. When I could have taken my time to manifest masterpieces unimagined, instead of products that simply meet the expectation. I'm trying to meet the full potential of my best self, but I often get caught in traffic where brilliance is intercepted by observing the failure of others who are seemingly like me. Discipline is stuck in the roundabout of complacent habits, and self-doubt cracks my windshield, making it hard to see ahead. The stoplight of society never signals me to go, so I'm propelled to look at the big screen, watching others do what I imagined I could. Right now, I decided to stop thinking my dreams through, especially after God has granted confirmation. We enjoy the idea of thinking things through, don't we? We value finding holes in the plan, troubleshooting before there is any trouble in sight. But why rethink when God has already told you to go? What if I was meant to fall through that hole in the plan? What if that hole leads me down the golden tunnel of faith into a life of fulfillment? What if all we ever needed was God's confirmation and God's confirmation only? What if we had the courage of baby Simba, the faith of a minute ass mustard seed, and a small step forward? What if the success of life was that combination over and over again? What God's confirmation, faith, and courage were the only things we needed to succeed and transcend this world of noise. Go to me, go and be free. Go to me, let me be free. Go to me.
Well, that was Leap of Faith by Tuyeni Akanke. That was a awesome journey. I do love the car metaphor.
My name is Bailey, and this is Ethan.
All right. Hi, Bailey.
Hi, Ethan.
They're not paying any bills. Sorry about that.
All right. But yeah, I love the car metaphor. I've used that metaphor before, like, and especially in literary terms. And some people feel like it's like my professor at the time hated it. Like everyone else, all the other teachers in the school loved it. But I love that metaphor because like when you're in a car, like the drive metaphor is real. Like the stop and go of it, like all the the visual aspect of you moving and seeing things. And even when you said I see the billboard, like maybe you said I see the screen. Were we talking about a billboard? Or were we talking about who were we talking about? When you said I see the screen.
The big screen.
Because I was imagining like driving by and seeing a billboard, maybe seeing like something being advertised.
Some form of media. It wasn't specific. It was just like the big screen of life that we kind of look to compare ourselves to.
And that's true because there's so many screens. This is a screen in itself, you know. So this could be the big screen. It could be a TV, not TV, but a theater, movie theater screen. I think
It's a real good ride. It feels like you know, when you take a ride, sometimes just to clear your head. These are literally thoughts that go through your head. You don't share them with people, but they're really deep thoughts. So, you know, I feel like most people, it doesn't even have to be the most intelligent person, speaks to themselves in metaphors, you know what I mean? And we are complex in our own ways, even if we can't express it to others. And that's like, it's a good feeling to like journey along with you. And it just in that, like, it feels like you're doing it yourself.
And I appreciate you saying that. And one of my passions is to give people the knowledge and the language to speak to the depth of their complexities. That's what my education consulting company was created for.
would you like to talk about?
Absolutely.
What's the name of your company?
Truth
Purpose,
Inspires
mission.
You. Yeah, so Truth Inspires You Education Consulting. The mission of Truth Inspires You is to definitely engage.
You said what consulting? I apologize.
Truth Inspires You. You can leave it as that.
Okay.
That's easy. Yeah, that's how people will find me. So Truth Inspires You is for. So I created it because I was teaching for 7 years, traditionally teaching. I've taught elementary school, I've taught middle school, high school, I've taught at the secondary levels, I've taught GED education, I've taught teachers, I've taught many different levels. And what I found to a great extent is that individuals, professionals, and the students alike are lacking skills in literacy. And in my philosophy, the ability to be literate encompasses the skills of reading, writing, thinking, listening, and speaking. So I want you all to go on a journey with me for a moment, right? And I want you to think about individuals in your life, just one or two people you can think of who always escape the task of reading. Or individuals who you tell them to read something short and they always misunderstand it, but they try to play it off like they read it too fast. Let's think about individuals who you have conversations with through text and you always misunderstand one another because that individual is unable to, in written form, articulate what they mean, what they feel, and what they want to communicate.
I feel like as a society, we already laughed that off, and it's a really bad shame. One of the big examples is Floyd Mayweather. They put him out for not being able to read. And, you know, I'm not going to excuse him, but his life has been built around a sport. He has been treated like a machine. It's not an excuse, but it was a real platform to speak about why is somebody in his status, with his stature, not literate, not able to express himself and how vulnerable is a strong man like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we laughed it off already, and it's a sad thing. It'd be nice to bring it back up because I feel like anyone who's been in a school in the hood in Chicago knows what it's like. You see the teachers put the kids on the spot, and you gotta read this, and they keep their heads down, or they'll throw a tantrum. You know what I mean? So a lot of bad kids are just kids that
don't
are
have
insecure.
skills.
Insecure about school. Some people think it
yes.
has everything to do around like their other environments. It's like they're insecure. They don't know who to go to. Luckily I'm one of 7 kids. So when you got that many people in your house, everybody has been through school. So it's
you
almost
go to somebody.
I at least picked it up really quick because I seen their work. I seen them talk about it. And it's easy for children to pick up from their siblings and things like that. But I seen a lot of students who basic reading skills just could not perform. And again, nobody was putting extra time into that. There wasn't a side program just for those students, which is a pretty simple suggestion, just for people that are struggling, just with those. Separate some time.
But let's go back to the point that I was making. The point that I was making is that everything that you're saying is great, and we also spoke to your level of intelligence earlier, right? But we have to understand that you got teachers, principals, staff who have the credentials, but who do not have the skills or the knowledge that match their credentials. We live in a society where it's about passing standardized exams, where it's about kind of like you jumping through the loopholes of the education system without being actually tested in full with fidelity on whether or not you have those skills. So what ends up happening is that you get large populations of Caucasian people. Individuals who believe that they are doing the right thing. They are coming to save the lives of those who have been oppressed. You have those individuals are lacking background knowledge, and they are also lacking the true and proper literacy skills that they are going to have to need in order to be a teacher. Teaching is a science.
Right.
It's a science. You have to, it's an art and a science. I literally can listen to the way someone speaks and can tell what their deficits are. Why can I do that? Because I have had to study people for so long. I can tell what my students know. I can tell what they don't know. I can tell what type of learner you are. I can tell what type of thinker you are. I can tell who you are in your intellect, even without it being fully developed. Why? Because I've developed the science and the artistry of teaching. And I can say that I've done that, and my students will tell you straight up. Anybody who's ever come to one of Miss Smith's class, they already know. And I still get text messages and emails and phone calls of my students thanking me for pushing them beyond their English teacher.
And I want to piggyback off of that because they have programs like No Child Left Behind. And a lot of those kids just got pushed through because it was a system that it wouldn't let them fail. So a lot of kids don't know a lot of things because they got pushed through the system, like schoolfish.
Well, we're in a system that's made for that. That's why we got charter schools as just the second step. It's not a last alternative. Like me growing up, we had alternative schools.
Right.
It was a probationary period where you could make up and come back. But charter school is just another option. This doesn't work for you. Get you another option. That don't work for you. Jump around, and nothing keeps you centered, which is a very horrible way to be growing up.
A lot of what Chicago has done, and I've seen this over the last 6 years I've been involved in the public education system here, it was first for a few years, consistently, first 2 years, 2014 through 2015, and then after that, probably sporadically, so I go there for special events and everything. But I did see a lot of the same policies that had started not too long before this, so 2 years before they started, these ASL schools, which in some form are way more strict. But other ones have private funding from local community organizations, which the school I'm at actually has that, and they do have after school programs for children who have issues with learning or being literate,
But let's talk about the fact that the household is the first school. So what we have to understand.
Beyond that, because literally a lot of the faculty there says this now, and now I'm seeing it. It's we are your parents. Like, and I'm like, after I like see that, and it's sad. But when you see it's like they try to call their parents and they can't get a hold.
But we gotta that's bullshit too. Because why are parents acting like this when the schools are calling them about their kids? Because parents are still traumatized from their own academic experience.
And these kids are still kids. Look how young these parents are.
But outside of that, we got to go back to the fact, because it's all the time we want to point the finger. Like we're saying, we
No,
got
it
our
wasn't like
hearts
a
in the
finger
place.
point. I feel like
No,
a lot of
hold
people
on.
didn't learn like the right way from their parents, and then they have to raise themselves. And this is the outcome of people raising themselves. They don't care about their kids because their parents didn't care about them.
I don't think it's that people don't care about their kids. I think that people don't know how to care for their children. I think that people think that they're doing the best they can. So when people get their taxes back and they go buy a whole bunch of bullshit for their household and for their kids, they think they're doing the best they can, even though that's not the best way to go. You know, I think it's we have such negative stereotypes about ourselves. Like, I think Black people care about their kids. I believe they don't have the skills.
Oh
to take care
no,
of
we
their
weren't,
kids.
and that's not the case in every.
That's what Ching
No, I
just
wasn't
said.
saying it like they don't care about their kids. It's like when empathy comes in, what do every Black household lack is empathy. When you go and tell your mama and your dad you got depression, they don't care. Let's be 100, and that's what it is. It's because nobody taught them how to care. Because they took it out of us by beating us till we don't care no more. But now we got to go back and it is up to like it's so sad too. It's up to like sometimes like the teachers to strong arm the parents. Like, do you care?
I hear that.
Call the DCFS when
say-
you see that they the kids missing days and stuff.
And I'll piggyback on that. I think that's one of the biggest things missing in most households. If you have empathy, then if you feel what's going on instead of react to what's going on, then there's going to be a better outcome. And one of the things that a lot of parents do because they feel like their life is so stressful, especially if you feel like you don't have a lot, is you react. And I'm saying that as a parent, it's very difficult. I understand what you're saying. I came from a different family setting. I won't get into that. But just being a parent itself, it's a lot of actual effort in sitting down and telling yourself, I have to put this time to the side.
That's true.
And it's not trained. It's not anything else. And you could come from a place where it's like that and still not know what it is.
Yeah.
But if you have empathy, at least you will have. If you have real empathy, that means you're going to take the time to really address, what's going on. And that's part of empathy is time. And everybody knows that time is the most important thing you can get from another human, because you can get all types of charities and handouts that get you by. But if somebody spends time with you, then immediately you feel like you're equal because you're worth that space.
Worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to feel too, is feel worthy. But how do you get that? Through empathy. And people are afraid to show love, and it's because they don't get empathy. So they're very shelled out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have a very thick skin, and you can't blame them. But somebody has to start showing empathy. And it's the more successful you are, I feel like in general, the less empathy people have, and that's a very sick thing to have to deal with socially too.
And I want to say two things. I feel the conversation kind of naturally drifting here. And,
It's always
no, not drifting away, but like it's drifting towards the next.
No, this was a good.
Excellent. I want to say, so speaking from the back, I don't want to misplace like I'm saying like, oh no black parents care about their kids. I do not believe that at all, because there are a lot of parents in this who are involved. You know what I'm saying? Who are involved. And I'm like, but we see the difference in some of the children who don't have that foundation, and when they don't, when it's like, because now at this point in the school year, we're at like less than 6 weeks left in the school year. Mm-hmm. They've seen the parents who have shown up for years now, and those who have not. And it's like, well, if you're not getting discipline at home, and we are a community, which I truly, truly do believe in as a community, and since they're seeing it more, I think that they do have more say so, and maybe not exactly how the child is raised, but how they behave at school and how they read time their subjects. 100%, yes, they can. And I think that they do need to use certain methods to get to them. Like, you need to see that I care, so I can show you how.
And then there's always that aspect of
communicate as much as you can between the parents. If you're sending a letter home, because sometimes people's parents.
But when you have it, I worked in schools for 8 years. So one of the biggest things that has to happen is the letters home. We just talked about literacy. It ain't the letters home.
No.
It's the individuals in the school going to the home. We talking about home visits. We're talking about community initiatives. We're talking about hiring a community liaison to connect the community organizations with the people of the community. It's about the schools and the organizations being willing to put the work in to do what's necessary for our people.
And yeah, that's very vital because one thing we haven't talked about with kids and with individuals is some individuals have just a bigger capacity for talent naturally, and they could be in any setting. And I feel like you understand that because I feel like you were a bit brighter than a lot of the people around you. And you know what you want is for those people to reach those kids just as much as the people that are illiterate, because a lot of those people that do have that real talent and just genius to them are constantly getting put down by their environment, and it's those people, you know, that really get to them, because you know somebody of high intellect understands, well, I have to be educated, I have to get certified educated, but unless somebody reaches out, a grown up reaches out to them and notices that talent, because you reach those kids and you see them, and it doesn't matter if they don't got another pair of socks for tomorrow. Like you see it in this person, they have a glow because they have a confidence and knowledge, and it's a beautiful thing to see, but it's a horrible thing to see that and then see that kid ripped off the education system. And it's because there's so many ways to just get out of the basic education system. We talked about IB, and you know, you had to score high to get IB. They don't grade you on any other manner to qualify, but your standardized testing. And that's why I made it blindly. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Some people just aren't cut.
Before we go too far in education, I just want to make this second point. So what I'll say about the community, I 100% agree with you to go above and beyond. And personally, I am one of those people who do that. I literally just did this earlier. I don't even remember if it was this week or last week. Wasn't even my student. I don't even know the student. He just seemed to be troubled when he was outside the school. But I do believe that people need to go that extra mile. Because I could have just saw the student and been like, oh, he was confused. Oh, well. But I saw him and he looked very, very concerned, nervous, like he did not want to move from where he was at. And he was across the street from school. I'm like, what are you doing over here? And I was able to figure everything out. But I do believe that there needs to be, and I think it's because I'm, like you said, more intelligent than other people, but more empathetically intelligent and more spiritually intelligent.
Emotionally
because I could have just walked past him and been like, there you go, emotional intelligence. I could have just walked past him and been like, he looks so easy. He's cool. He's probably on whatever. But I didn't leave it at that. And I believe those are two areas we need a little bit more understanding in. And I wanted to
but we need that from our educators.
Your background about that, and kind of see, where did that start at that circle when you kind of like confessed everything? You were like, oh, I'm coming here to heal myself. Or did it like happen?
When you say that, could you elaborate more on what you mean by that?
I don't even not the educator, but like the moment where you want to take your education to a spiritual level and teach people through teach people about their spirituality.
That's a beautiful question. So have y'all ever been in class, right, and you knew there was something that was being taught, but you knew that you didn't have the background knowledge to really understand it, or like you knew there was something missing for you to get whatever the person was teaching? My entire life I had that feeling. I remember being on the side of my daddy. I was a kid on the side of my daddy and being like having so many questions, these questions like literally cascading through my mind, and a voice saying, you'll get the answer. And then really an energy of calm coming over me. I remember my daddy made me go to Mississippi for 15 summers of my life. I remember being in Mississippi, dark nights, me and my daddy driving through the bushes, and literally there were spirits on the trees. And so like spirituality has been following me and been with me my entire life. Like I've had premonitions my entire life. The individual who I lost my virginity to told me he was gonna die before he, like a couple of months before he died. Like the night I lost my virginity to him, he told me he was gonna die. There are things that happen to me now that I've embraced my spiritual knowledge, that I realized that back then, like, wow, spirit was always with me. One of my closest sister, Nandi Ife, I love her to life. we did city year together. City years in AmeriCorps program.
Yeah.
Right. So in DC, we did city year together, and we lived together after we finished our city year, right? And so I noticed her changing and shifting. Like she did another year of AmeriCorps with another program. By then I had started grad school. So I'm like, I'm from Chicago. We in DC. She's from Norfolk, right? I'm like, hold on. This bitch acting funny. I'm gonna have to beat her ass. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to be, that hood mentality come up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to her, standing in her room like, so what's up? What's up? What you want? And I realized that it wasn't that she was acting funny. She was evolving and growing, and I was jealous. And I asked her, like, what you doing, sis? And it just so happened that she had met a spiritual medium who had an entire rites of passage program. And it was the next year with that same year, it was interesting because I told Nandi, I'm like, I want to talk to her. Nandi wouldn't connect us. I don't know why, it was weird. And then one day her and Nandi were on the phone. I was like, is that such and such? I said her name. And she was like, yeah. I was like, no, I need to talk to her. And I grabbed the phone out of her hand and I just talked. And she was like, let me call you back. She hung up. She called back. She texted back. She was like, tell her that she needs to be at the retreat on May 18th. And that was when I had to literally make the decision that night that I wasn't going to go to graduation. I was going to do that. And so when I went to that retreat, I found out so much about my spiritual identity, so much confirmation. So remember, going back to the original question was, have you ever been at a place and felt like there were some things you needed to know and you didn't? You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't understanding life because there was so much I needed to know. And it was that process that helped me to begin to learn what I needed to know. Now I'm girded up. I got a whole toolkit, literally a whole tool. Like nobody can beat me. It's only if I allow it, So not only do I have my intelligence, my knowledge that was cultivated throughout my entire life, I also have my spirit. I also have my physical. I have my creativity. I have so much within me. And this is what I want people to be able to activate their own kaleidoscopes of stuff.
What do you think you'd have been if you would have ignored that and gone to your graduation?
I would have been on crack cocaine right now, probably, or something, like a really deep drug. I'd have been addicted.
You really feel that?
Mm-hmm. I have an addictive personality.
That's so creepy. Like I keep getting like all these things your traits, your characteristics. I feel like I have a lot of the same exact traits. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm trying to compare myself to you. It's just a lot of
I feel the same thing.
I feel like everything that you're saying like completely touches to where like my mentality and my even upbringing to some point is at. So it's just it's in a good way.
I was just gonna comment on like spirituality and how like I got on my path kind of to spirituality. Growing up, my mom has bipolar schizophrenia. She had it since I've been born, so she always had it like my whole life. So growing up with that was hard because I lived with her until I was about 10 years old. So clearly she had a severe mental illness, so I dealt with it most of my childhood. So I really never had a childhood. So, and then growing up, we was just like really poor. I didn't grow up in the city. I grew up in the suburbs, but we just were really poor. Harvey.
Yeah. Okay. So we know.
We know. Really poor.
Still right. Hell
yeah.
Influence though.
No, yeah, exactly.
But,
I feel like that's Chicago, even though it's not Chicago. I feel like it's Chicago because it's very much Chicago.
Yeah, because it trickles down,
Mm-hmm. And it's a little harder in a lot of ways. That's such a cutoff, like village in itself.
It is.
It's crazy.
And
yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It was just like growing up with that, and then when you realize at the age of 6 that your parents are different than other parents. So my parents, my dad stayed with my mom for they've been married for 23 years. Like he never gave up with my mom. He loves my mom. So my dad really kept me solid through the whole situation. And he really just showed me how strong this can be, like your mental capacity and emotional capacity, and not to let small things like really, really bother you. And that provoked some of my spirituality because I always found myself in a church choir, and I got baptized 3 times. It's crazy. Like I've been baptized live, but in 2009, my sophomore year, my mom had a stroke, so she was then paralyzed. So it was like dealing with that. I didn't, when it come back to the education, I was a really talented kid. You know, I was really educated, but nobody really reached for me.
I was gonna say,
You know, I didn't make it to college.
I feel like you were asking for attention.
Yeah.
Like you were willing to take it from a lot of people because you were willing to follow your dad, and it's hard for a girl to, you know what I mean, have a male role model.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm a godfather to a niece that decided just to make me a godfather, even though it's usually a godmother.
Right.
And it's real, like it's humbling. But like for you to do that, you know, out of like this is the person that you had to follow and you're happy to follow, but you kind of wanted it to be a woman.
Yeah, for real. And you know, nobody in my family ever went to college, so it was I never got that vision. Like I never got to college and you can do this, and we always been poor. I've been poor my whole life. My mom's been struggling, so it was just fucking hard. Like it was just hard being young and having to understand that you're a lot of shit you don't get. Like as much as I want to say that, oh, I could have did this and this and that. No, when you already dealing with I had just got back with my parents in 8th grade because I was in the foster system for years. Then I get back with my parents. My mom had a stroke, and I'm completely wigging out. Like I was a bad kid. I was a straight A student my whole life. Yeah. Then I turned into the bad kid. Like I'm like fuck you. I mean, I never had my mom. Y'all just gonna take her halfway. Like you might as well have her. Like I was just mad at the world. I was mad at God. I was mad at everybody. And nobody reached for me, and I kept a lot of resentment, like deep down inside of me, and it drove me to music because I got tired of being that angry kid. But I grew up at a young age. I grew up 18. I had my own crib because I had to get away from that. It was on me so hard. It was like callous. It was just formed around me. Like I couldn't get out of it. I had to get away from like the craziness, and I just dealing with like a mental illness that long. You feel like you're crazy.
No, it's because you didn't receive that empathy at the same time. It's like there might have been 10 people struggling with you, but they didn't feel like your struggle was anything. You know what I mean? Because we're all going through it. And a person needs to be addressed. Like I said, sometimes you just want to scream it out. Hey, this isn't easy. Like you don't understand it. You're just thinking that I'm a complainer, that I have a chip on my shoulder. But if I have a chip on my shoulder, somebody put splinters in me. It's not just that they're just there. You know
and then imagine somebody talking to you about college. And it's okay, so it's junior year, and then we started taking ACTs and stuff, and we started talking about prom and stuff, and I can't go. I don't have the money. I'm working at 15. I got 2 jobs. I'm helping my parents with the bills because that's my responsibility. I have to go home and watch my mom because that's my responsibility. Can't go to the party. Got to go home with my mom, take care of my family. You feel me? So I always had to be that adult, and I got a lot of things like taken away from me. But you know, I still finished high school. Like I got put into an alternative school. So I was like 16 going to school from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night. Like I was in college or something. So then after that, I walked across the stage alone, depressed. I really didn't have any friends. I walked across the stage with just my mom and my dad. And I really had a mental breakdown. Like that's the day I cried and I cried and I cried and I just cried because I didn't know what I wanted out of life. What am I good at?
Do you look in your music? Do you look for like positive outcomes to all this, or do you just express the rage of it?
No,
because both could be very powerful. Because everybody's been in that state of rage where they're fed up. You know what I mean? And if you can channel that, that's beautiful. But I feel like it's beautiful and it's raw, and people will definitely feel it. But I feel like there should always be kind of like your optimism, personally, because people don't just want to hear that. I personally don't just want to hear the sadness because we're in an era right now where sadness is accepted, but it's not dealt with.
Yeah.
So we're taking it all in.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, I know what it's like to be sad.
Around this bitch sad.
But again, but we undermine each other's sadness because we're like, that's not that important.
Exactly.
I'm going through something.
Right. My sadness is greater than yours when it's like
oppression on
but I've never
somebody
it is.
And it's like I always talk about I don't get into oppression with it. It's like,
not at all.
No, but I never find myself sad anymore. I'm not a sad, like I swear.
But I'm just talking about the music.
No, yeah, I actually find myself dabbling in a lot of things. Like I go to the happy, I go to the sad. I let myself be me. And whatever comes out, how I'm feeling, I let it's okay to feel like that.
Yeah.
Express it. You know, and that's how I figured it out. Like it was a science. Like I was so angry I was so angry, and you people don't understand. You get so sour that you turn sweet. It transforms you, like you just burn away and you become a new person. So I take control of my life now. I don't use my past and use those roadblocks. I know. See, this is the thing. I learned street knowledge. I know how to get through anything.
Yeah.
I can see through anybody.
Yeah.
I can see your soul. I can see the truth of the matter. I can see hidden things. I can feel things like that empathy. I might not have the knowledge of things, but I feel like God gave me a different set of tools, and it's this. Can't nobody. It's a different type of strong. Like I had to be that. Like, and it's a strong weakness. Like I'm so strong, I'm weak.
I get it, but
I love it.
The only thing I was expressing by that again is that I feel like it's our responsibility because everybody, when they're going through something, when they think about it and they really try to, you always hope for a positive outcome. I mean, sometimes you end up with, fuck this shit, like I'm tired, fuck it. But that's not your point of like, stressing yourself over it. You're stressing trying to find a positive way. And I feel like right now, as artists, especially if we dabble in music, we should always have some sort of hope, even if we're expressing the very worst feelings, hope for, a positive outcome at the end of the day. And everybody's positive outcomes at some point meet, because it aligns itself with righteousness and good feelings and feeling of love and happiness, But I hear a lot of music that, especially if it's rage, it's full rage, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, and I'm like, nah, it's not.
It's not
because you're putting these frequencies out into kids' veins, and that's what's running through their veins.
Yeah. Is that like so? We were talking about like you're talking about literacy. Is there like emotional literacy too? Like people are like trying to understand.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance
understand
to finish what my organization does. It's okay because I speak to that. So I believe that the ability to be literate, the ability to read, write, think, listen, and speak with fidelity then aids us in our emotional maturity. So my business sits on 3 pillars. It's literacy with fidelity, emotional maturity, and creative expression. So one of the things that you just said when you like, I got so sour that I turned sweet, there was a level of emotional maturity that you developed in order to get to the sweetness. Because there's some people who continue to turn the coin and they stay bitter, they stay sour. So I would want to say, I really want to give you kudos and want to give you just true, just like, man,
you surpassed
a shout out. Exactly.
And I've only recently done that myself, so I know that's
no problem. And I want to say how I believe that emotional maturity and spiritual healing are synonymous. See, what we have to understand is that we process energy and spirit through our emotions. So we have to understand that a memory is an energy. And we then process that memory through our emotions. So you might not remember what your mama said, your daddy said, your cousin said, but you go remember how that felt. Yeah. You're gonna remember the energy of that. And every time somebody says something, does something to create a trigger for that particular energy, you might blame that individual in the present, but it actually relates to where the trigger was birthed, where it was created, where it was conceived through some traumatic experience or some just repetition of experience as you grew and evolved. And so what I will say is I think a lot of times, because there's levels to healing, and then there's residue that happens once you clean once you scoop up the big shit. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's residue that you got to go back and cleanse. So there's a lot of us when we take this healing journey, people are like, yeah, I'm thinking positively, I'm this, but you're not going back and doing the work of cleaning your subconscious. You're not going back and doing the work of digging deep into your traumas and uprooting and excavating all of that bullshit and then planting new seeds. Go ahead.
I want to say a metaphor that speaks to exactly what you said. I want to give this to people. This might be a music video or a movie soon. Don't be mad at me. Or I might be mad at you take the idea. But I recently experienced something that really challenged me, and it forced me. I create my art from a place of love. All of my art is created from a place of love, no matter where it comes from.
We have countless songs that the chorus has love in the thing. Anyway.
So yeah. So and I had a moment where I was traumatized in the moment, and I was forced to deal with other traumas. And it was because I was like, usually I would go to my art to like escape or like transmute that energy. But at this point in my life, I truly believe my higher self was like, I will not let you
No
go
more transmuted deal.
you will not go any further until you do this. So it's like I imagine going down this long elevator shaft, and as I got to the bottom of it, it's like this hallway, this beautiful corridor, all these pictures of all these experiences that I've dealt with that give me great feelings of love. And I had to like encounter this, and this was someone I was seeing at the time, and like basically, I'll be honest, I was mistreating the person I was dating. I was undermining the powerful Black woman I was with. And as a result, she broke my heart, and that's understandable. And I had to accept that, and in accepting that, I accepted a lot of pain from a lot of things. So I was fathering her child at the time. I was being a very big role model in his life, and I had to deal with that in my own life because when I was absent from him, it made me go back and think about my father being absent in my life and how that really, really affected me, and how I had to force it to like think about that. So now I'm in a place of trying to seek out and find my father. And like mend wounds and talk to him at the earliest convenience. And even in thinking of that at that moment, I healed that. And then that's when I realized I was like, oh my God, I gotta go do that to all of them. And someone gave me another metaphor about traumas. Trying to hold down traumas is like being in a pool and trying to hold down beach balls. You can hold down you can hold down one or
that
two or
motherfucker
three.
popping up.
After you get to 4, 5, 6, think about it for 20 years, and you get to like 100 or 1,000. You're not holding down any of them. You're only holding down 4. But even continuing with that, so like I had to deal with that love, and as I dealt with those spaces became more healing, and I even sometimes feel those same experiences. I still feel those same experiences, and sometimes like it even a little bit of pain. But now I'm recognizing that it's something different. It's like literally just being alive, and it's like I don't want to delve into that, but looking at it and facing it, it's like this is a part of me, and this is real.
Yes,
and it doesn't change anything. Like this is a part of what I am. Yeah, and I embody it. I hold on to it, and now I can move it. I gain that ability in the superpower.
It's beautiful to think of that, but then we undermine death and, like you said, being reborn. It's you feel like you haven't gone through something till you're again. You let it die. Like it has to die, and and sometimes it has to be like physically carried on. Like for you, like really, like a lot of things you have to execute yourself. Yes. But that's what people use reborn in different ways. But it's a beautiful feeling. Like. To wake up the next day,
like right after death, like the morning after death, it's a mood, it's a vibe.
So you get into where you gotta go, and even if it was a bad outcome, guess what? Tomorrow it's new. You know what I mean? And that's being able to start fresh after you've been in you feel like you're in control of it. So if you're in control of it, at least I'll blame myself this time. I don't have to blame my environment. And as bad as you feel coming up without that, it's like, well, people are already noticing me now. So all I got to do is be the best that I can be right now because I know who I am now and people will know who I am.
Would you like to introduce your next track for us?
Yes. I wanna shout out.
Play some of Ching's music too.
Yeah, I just healthcare because I had a situation with healthcare this week. I want to talk about healthcare. You said something about the best.
I want to value you as men carrying like just solid masculine energy, but also being balanced in this energy of love, which is feminine energy. And I'm so happy that you are so rooted and grounded in your identity that you don't mind being balanced in the notion of love and leading with love and honoring love, despite what we might be experiencing in our lives. And when I'm telling you, like I'm gonna tell you, your YouTube, what's up? The energies who up in here listening, everybody. This is how life is going to shift. This is how I'm thinking about the man who I'm dating right now. I'm a warrior woman, right? His capacity to love is so deep. I'm just like, whoa, who is this? Like, it's me, right? Like, I'm a big energy. I don't know what you think you got yourself into, but I don't know. And really, he just continues to like roll with the MF and punches. And I'm like, shit, I've never experienced this before. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank him. I want to thank you all, the rest of you men in the world who are leading with love. You are helping those warrior women we're bringing in the Aquarian energy. We're bringing in the feminine energy that's creating the healing environment that we kind of now seeing popping its head up. You all are creating the that grounding for us, and I value that so much.
Well, as an Aries, my vision of beauty is Aquarius. Like, just I don't.
Yeah.
Like, no, it is.
Yeah,
Like, that's what I mess with the most, just that energy, and it's. I feel like you do, like you said, you have to touch that feminine side and just express it, but not don't make it a type of thing.
Right.
It's just like you
it's
can relate to anybody.
sexuality.
No, it's not. But you deal with women in a different manner that you deal with men, and that's just a common fact. So if you can't lighten yourself up to be able to just have a good flow with your surroundings, not just women, I mean just everything in general, then what are you trying to do? You're trying to do everything on your own? That'll never work.
Right.
A father can't be a father on his own.
Baby.
There's no way.
That's my daddy.
even single fathers
struggle.
will tell you they can't do it on their own.
My daddy would tell you without my grandmother, he wouldn't have known.
My dad got my grandma too. Thank God.
Thank God for the grandmothers.
Man, my
Yes.
grandma taught me so much.
And absolutely. So this is a purpose-driven life. So the first track was about taking that leap of faith, right? And so once I took that leap of faith, and that's the first track of my book, I realized that taking the leap of faith was necessary. Then I got to the final track of my book where I realized that like this is a purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power, and I'm gonna keep getting it right. Once we realize that there is power in harnessing your faith, and you get to your purpose, and you allow that to drive you. So, purpose-driven life.
Purpose-driven.
Are we still going to talk about Saturn's retrograde?
Absolutely, we're gonna get to it.
All right. After this track, I feel like we deserve to hear about this because I had I looked it up, and I had something prior to that just happened to me, and it's so specific to what happened to me that I'm just.
Yeah, we just like I
slowed down real quick. Like,
okay,
so let me think of what really matters real quick.
The bricks.
It was 100%. Once you get into the astrological sciences, like how accurate it may be to your life, especially when you go down to the exact date. Numerology.
That's my baby right there.
Because it told me 3 things, and I was like, I'm working all 3.
Right.
I decided that. You didn't do that. Was me. Damn it.
Synergy.
You're like, I know you're like, all right, you're like, thank you. I'm glad I was on the right path.
Right.
Work on these 3 things. I was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I want to be clear that it might sound like a song, but it's a story. It's a story, but this is an audio book. So,
There are many points in our lives where we are granted the opportunities to accept our good. Many of us ignore these opportunities or take advantage of the good we are granted. A lot of us take advantage of God's grace without recognizing that grace is given because God wants us to get life in divine light. I was so busy trying to take the message heights, I was ignoring where God was taking me to. New heights. I kept losing the internal battles, but the human in you will never win when you and your soul fight. Ancestors were yelling for me to get it right. I had the desire, but no might. Strings of plans without the work of the kite. But I came into this world to live a purpose-driven life. Here we go. Let's go. Yeah, a purpose-driven life. A purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. A purpose-driven life. A purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. Okay. So living in my power. What does that really mean? What does that look like?
City of God.
Allah.
His name
Just be honest, just be love, just be
Not the dude that killed his wife.
The darkness can't get you if you don't give power to the curse. Don't let your dreams end up in hurts. Carried in a basket of yesterday and buried in the doubt of the dirt. Be understanding when you want to be hurt. Believe. I must admit that it took a long time to believe in myself. My family and friends seemed to believe I was number one, but my experience was that of second best. I didn't quite understand why I wasn't celebrated more. Mrs. Wynn Buckner said I could have been salutatorian when I was in 8th grade if I hid my attitude. She taught me that being black doesn't mean that all who look like you will have your back. I couldn't see why I had to put in more work than those around me. I was smart and I still got kicked out of IB. I felt destruction coming quickly. High school was a poor experience for me. I started to resent life. Even though people saw that I got into Howard University, I bet you wouldn't believe that on graduation day I still felt empty. I was almost my own enemy because I was swallowing the lies of defeat cooked up by an oppressive society. I worked 6 internships in public relations, but I graduated without a job. A bachelor's degree and no money, really, God? Yes. So I took a year off to explore humanity with AmeriCorps. I did a city year in DC streets. That experience was a white supremacist tax payoff. I loved my life, but I hated what I was experiencing. I lived how the education system was bad off. I knew I had to be a teacher at all costs. I made it through that year of being broke and working in an education system that was a pure joke because I had to see where I fit in. Then I was accepted into DC teaching programs. I read slowly. So when I failed that time writing test, they told me no. But another door always opens when your favorite one shuts closed. The Urban Teaching Center, Divine Words. Someone said, and you'll earn 2 master's degrees. Haven't you heard? I applied that night and got a call back. A week later, I was celebrating my acceptance into a dual master's teaching program. God snapped my life back together just like that. Y'all. Hey, a purpose-driven life, a purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. Yo, a purpose-driven life, a purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. Hey, a purpose-driven life, hey. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. Yo, a purpose-driven life, a purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power and I'm gonna get it right. So when you live in your purpose, you gotta understand that everybody is not going to agree with your path. Let them disagree with themselves, because you already know which way you gotta go. Man, living this purpose-driven life, I've had people to deny me my good. And sometimes I believe in that denial, but I refuse right now. Today, I refuse. It is the year 2017. I'm getting the life I've always dreamed. I'm telling y'all, live the way you feel you need to. You know yourself best. Living a purpose-driven life ain't easy, because some days I don't want to write a poem because it hurts. Living a purpose-driven life ain't easy, because sometimes I don't want to go to teach. I don't want to go to work. But when I look myself in the mirror and I remember how bad it used to hurt, I realize that every bit of work I have to do has such great work. A purpose-driven life, a purpose-driven life. I'm living in my power, and I'm gonna keep getting it right. It's too late. I was born for this. For shame.
That was really great. There was a lot of great aspects of it. Like I said in the beginning, I feel like your speech speaks out in a mantra type way, in a vague way where it can relate to everybody. And one of the things about that usually is people are like, yeah, but what are you really saying? So you actually gave your personal story after handing out these mantras, which is a great thing. And it makes me think like this would be a great template. Like if you ever decided to like reach out to people to kind of give them the mantra part of it and let them fill in the blank. Or to even have a shorter version of it, which is just basically, like I said, those beginning parts which sound that way. Yeah, and let people, if they want to jump on it or not, or just have that compressed version of it too, to where people can really, because the mantras you're saying basically have a lot to do with getting up and taking action, and the beat carries it that way. So it's like get ready for war sound to it. So that's what I mean about it would be a great thing to have it as a template to where you could share that experience and be like, put your experience down.
When I first walked in here, thank you for all of that. Thank you. And I'm taking it, I'm using it, okay? When I first walked in here we met and I hugged you, and then we shook hands. I'm like, wow, you have ancestor energy. And you are like this wise man. And it's so interesting that, like you have the indigenous roots, like the indigenous spirit walking with you. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you. And we gonna have to talk after this because I would love for my male students to see both of y'all in action. I have a workshop called Soft Things Don't Break. And I would love, and it's for my men, for my boys. And so I would love to have a conversation about
that's deep as hell.
I know.
Let's not skip that.
Soft things don't break. So you can't hit it at the same time. I was like, why is this doubling up on me right now? Like soft things don't break. And I was like, I was like taking off and it wouldn't move.
Because that's more impactful to a mind of a man.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Because a woman really understands that. But when a man hears that, you start thinking like, wait, this does break. No, you start thinking about soft things like,
it immediately makes you, even as a man, immediately you're just like.
But I feel like it's more impactful for a man because we don't really magnify soft things. We don't like to think about them. You know what I mean? Because the insecurity is that we relate to it. We are it. You know what I mean? To where the reality of it is to understand everything and put yourselves in everybody's shoes is a capability that you have. So why not do that? You don't have to lean towards that thought or anything else. But if you can experience it and it's not going to harm you or your values, then why not live that part of your life? Because maybe you were meant to live it. I feel like people do have a purpose, and luckily you guide yourself. Your intuition is not understood by everybody, but it does move people still because it's a part of your brain that you don't really control. You can control, but you don't really control. A gut feeling is just a biological reaction that has everything to do with feelings. And, there's a lot of things, like you said, that are ancestral, our DNA. We have traumas that we carry on. That's in you. You something that your parent went through, you feel if you see it in your life. Like you feel it
when you
so
experience
much.
it, like you don't understand your parents and you experience something that makes you understand.
Well, how many times have you heard from a parent figure? You'll understand when you're older. I am like my father in the way that I seek knowledge.
But also understanding 7 generations. When we decide that we are going to heal, right? And because I'm feeling the anger that me and my father both experienced, right? So man, we got so many similarities. While I'm healing my father, looking at my father transform is like surreal right now.
Because you're healing yourself.
I'm healing 7 generations ahead of me and 7 generations behind me. And my father, my great-grandfather, his father, they're all in that. Because my father learned his anger and his temperament from my great-grandfather who escaped in the same asylum during post-slavery Mississippi. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, and so me being able to say when I give birth to my sons, they're not going to experience this, and me being able to say, so I had to go to my heart. My heart was just so convoluted and stuck with bullshit and just hurt and stuff that I didn't know was even there. So it's everything you just said is true. And when we choose healing and when we choose transformation, that 7 generation. Those 7 generations forward and backward, 14 generations, if you will, that are impacted by us deciding that
You're
we ain't
right.
gonna keep that shit moving.
You're so right.
Well,
It's
I
like
mean,
you can
I
see
feel
that
like
in
you
my
can
own
touch
life.
those same souls within people.
I
Like,
feel like, yeah, like literally when you say that in my own life, because we just went to the Egg Bay. Shout out to Limitless and all the other people who go there. Bella and a few other people. That when I was in there, we were talking about understanding like the foundation for healing, like just understanding your ancestry, knowing names of people. That's even the difference. Like literally, me hearing my mother just said this and had nothing to do with it. I just went to the Egg Bay, went home to Ohio for the holidays, and my mother was like, "Oh, did you know that your grandmother's name is Elja?" I was like, "You know your grandmother's name is Elja, right? Your biological mom's adopted, so we didn't meet her biological family until I was like 13." So she says, "You know your biological grandmother's name is Elja?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, grandmother Elja." She's like, "Did you know that her grandmother's name was Elja, and that 4 generations before her, they're all the names are Elja?"
Wow.
When she said that, don't you know that I felt relief? I was like, I didn't even know where it came from. It was just like knowledge. Like you, like it's like I don't know if y'all watched that show, the Avatar, the animated show, the Avatar. But there's like they illustrate connecting lineage and past lives, and I felt that. I felt exactly what showed it. As soon as she said that, I was like, "Grandma, great grandma, hey, sweetie, oh,
Right. Yeah.
y'all up there? Yeah, like you know that
It's real.
And you know
and
what?
you even see, I saw my mom begin to heal in her own private life.
You
Terry,
see
you're
the
right.
map.
I do need to do more positive work in my life. See my brother, I need to
That's
focus on this
my dad's.
all by itself. You know, like
It's
what is-
surreal.
It's real.
Yeah.
My father, I have a story in my book called Trauma. My father is militant from Mississippi, 6'6" tall, a Sagittarius, fire.
no, well, no, not only that. You know, Sagittarius has the parent role, point blank. Like it doesn't matter who you are. It's a parent. Very much, I take care of things. And you mix that with fire, and 6'6", then you have a fierce person that protects everybody.
And I'm a Sag too, so imagine what I've had to get through. My dad, trauma talks about all of that and how traumatizing it was to grow in a house with a man who was all of that on top of military veteran. So my father, I had an event, a book event on January 13th. It just so happened that my dad's side of the family was in town. So this is my dad's first cousin and her daughter. And they actually helped to orchestrate the process of me going to Howard because the daughter had gone to Howard. So anyways, my father boo-hoo cried in there, like listening to my book, listening to the truth. Because I had given him a copy when I first published it, but he didn't hear it as much as he heard it when he had his mama blood in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Telling him, shut your ass up and you listen to what she got to say. Not only did my daddy listen, he stood his big country Native American ass up and was like, I'm sorry. Apologize, like literally. And he was like, I didn't think that you were still listening to me. I didn't think that you had learned the lessons I taught you. But seeing you talk with so much conviction and looking at you in your purpose, like, wow. And he apologized. My father would have never did that if spiritual healing wasn't real.
Now, I did have a question about that. Did you have that as a goal to kind of heal your father, or is it something that just happened along what you were doing?
I started off, when I first started this process, it was more so to heal my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mother, when I started my rites of passage, I flew my mother to DC to start the process with me. She wasn't willing to do the work. My mother has been to 12 rehabilitation centers. Like just a couple of years ago, she was sent to Florida on the coast, like
I understand.
you know what I'm saying? And she came back and got high the next day. You get what I'm saying? Like she was gone for a month, came back and went back to getting high. So my thing was, I always felt like I wanted to save my mama because I didn't realize how traumatic it was growing up with my daddy until I had to be honest about the both sides of the spectrum that didn't do right. You know, and so it just so happened that I'm just like, I know that I'm the spiritual driver for my family. So God, the work that I do, I was focused on that 7 generations.
Yeah, and it's I feel like it's hard for you to do that because, like you said, your dad's 6'6". He's I imagine a symbol of strength to you. So to put yourself in a mind frame where you're like, I'm gonna be the healer of this, it takes a lot of confidence. And I kind of had a conversation with Bella where, you know, she tells me maybe that's my role. I'm one of 7.
Mhm.
And, you know, a lot of times I grew up, I'm number 5 of 7. It's an odd place.
Change.
But I noticed that I was a confidence to everybody. Even though I was the 5th, one of the youngest ones, everybody kind of took what I said, and I really did.
The ancestor, I'm telling you.
I really did heal, like in between my brothers and sisters for a while until, for some reason, they felt like maybe I was out of place, or I felt like I was, I thought that I was better than somebody. But I would very much love to be that person, because it was a great feeling when I would hear that, and it genuinely came out of. It was something that was really like a desperation for me to really see us do well, because, you know, I didn't have my mother since I was 10, but we have a lot of us. It's a lot of us. But I always wanted to make it a thing where, like, my mother's passing wouldn't be taken as a curse, even though she's gone. Like, I want that to be the reason why we hold up our morals, why we hold up ourselves, because we know what we got from her, the love we did get, and at the end of the day, that's all we need. You know what I mean? And
proof is in y'all's life. I can speak to attest to that. All of his siblings are successful in their own right. 7 of them. All of them.
And it's
we're in there. This is the shop, by the way. This is the shop. Some of them.
This is the ancestral lineage right here. And look at this wood.
And I just wanted to comment on all these different, as we keep talking, like everybody came from different walks of life, different backgrounds. And for us to all to enter the same room, you don't think that's divine orchestration?
Oh,
like,
it is.
for us to all be in the room with different walks of life, like,
I told people,
I could have made one left turn and would never been made it to this room.
We're not born the day we're born by mistake, and we don't run into people by mistake. We don't talk to people by mistake. And a stranger saved my life. I've explained this before, and I won't go through it. But a stranger saved my life in a point where I thought I could take my own life, and it happened to be a person that embodied what my mom was by age, by appearance, by everything, and I embodied who she lost, which is a son my age. That person was put there, and I feel like all people are. Some get a bigger impact, but we gotta have faith in each other, because as much as we have faith in ancestors, we all come from an enlightened place. And we can all be that.
But y'all give him a podium or something. Cause like, I'm so happy you here today, helping your brother see. Like, man, this, I don't know how y'all mad, but keep this up. You know what I'm saying? Because keep this up.
We just showed up. We made sure that we vibed. We continuously challenge each other. I think for the first time in both of our lives, we met somebody that when we challenge, it's not like we've been talking about this. We can
one of the
come
biggest
to
things, like here we're talking about spirituality and stuff, but you know, we have a lot of artists here where it's art, craft, hip hop, and things like that, and it's a little bit different. Like you said, we have contrast where he keeps everything straight and kind of in order, and I'm the little Charlemagne, because that's what people tell me. You know, I like Charlemagne, but at the same time, we disagree heavy on some things, and we express it, but it never changes any way of how we feel, because we're just talking. And I've actually seen him listen to me in heated arguments where he takes something in, and again, he still feels a certain way, but I credit him because he really did take it all in. And it's heated things, but I do the same. If I feel like I can easily tell you, yeah, you're right. And as intelligent I am, I think that the most brutal skill that I had to learn was to let go of that ego that tells me I have to be right.
Right.
As
Y'all should have told me I was wrong instruments.
Well, no, yeah, I know by
area of Taurus too. So
but we met.
I'm the Pisces, y'all. I'm the only water in the room right now, so that's why I might seem like the oddball. I'm like, who is this people? But I'm the water in the room.
But there's an attachment to all. I think everybody has their own connections.
I like that you're a Taurus that's gotten over the. You kind of made yourself more socially. How do I say it? Not strong, but socially, like enforce yourself. You enforce yourself in social places, and you did that outside of your traits because you know what I mean. You're more you are a reserved person, and a lot of Tauruses are very reserved in the people they take in. But you actually took a commanding role in trying to force your way into things, which is out of your reach. But I've seen you do that a lot more lately, and you force your way, but politely. And I mean, that's how politicians move. That's how people with real power move. They force their way in politely. You like never know that they really address a flaw in you or something that you did wrong because they don't put it in that way. They put it in a way where it's very straightforward. This is the goal. This is this is what we're gonna do.
I'm not on your emotions. I'm on the truth, and I'm a point to move forward on.
Exactly. You know, because some people dwell on the problem and talk to the problem, but he's the person like, okay, he is the problem. One thing is a solution, right?
But that's emotional maturity because I think that this is why zodiac signs and astrology and all of that it just gets tainted, right? What we have to understand, yes, we come to the earth, we come to the world with certain energies within us and around us. It is our job though to evolve and enhance, what we come to the world with. So Sagittarius is fiery energy. I deal with being unbalanced. You get what I'm saying? I can't function for the rest of my life on no shit like that.
My secondary planet is the sun. I'm an Aries, Mars. So Mars and that amount of power. I had to get through a lot of hard-headedness. And I'm still hard-headed. I'm a very hard-headed person, but I've gotten through a lot of, how do I explain this? Aries have an ego to them that they feel they're right. They're natural leaders. They don't want to lead over anybody. But you put them in a place, they feel like they can function and letting everybody know what's going on. You know what I mean? At least. And that's the beginning of any lead role is being able to put everybody in the same zone. I feel like
Aries is the fire sign that makes way for other fire signs. Like, I really
because Sagittarius and Aquarius, I feel like they exhibit more impressive virtues and at a very, very high, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain, like high caliber. But they sometimes lack some of the empathy of connection. You know what I mean? Because an Aquarius woman is a grand force. They are amazing. Like I ran into most that I've ran into, just pure talent. Now, that's great, but the most sexy aspect is when one of those is able to be like a humanitarian, somebody that connects with people. Yeah. Because it's all that beauty and body, but it's like it's not reserved.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And I feel like that's what the Aquarius. The Sagittarius has like I said, a parental role. So they want to be in charge and they want to force their way in charge. So where that's what the Aries doesn't do. And we get a lot of things like we're so arrogant and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's they put us there. Like whenever I was put in those roles, I didn't look at it like, great, I'm in charge. I look at it like, damn, I had this to do. And I took those roles very seriously. And to
a sad night.
You're going to finally move this side.
But I noticed this. Like I do catering, and when I'm put in like managerial positions, I notice how everybody fights it, and I notice how it's not my intention to be there, but I can get everybody to move. You know what I mean? And I've noticed that because I work with Congressman Danny Davis. So we're the right hand.
He's part of the family.
You know Tamir Romero?
No, I don't. So my daddy used to date. Okay, this is one of the black things. Right? So my daddy used to date Danny K. Davis's grandchild's auntie. So like we you know.
Yeah, I get you.
That was the part. He know my daddy more than me, but
you know that deep ass Mufasa voice. Oh my God, damn, Smokey the Bear's dad? For real, Danny just sounded like God's voice. Like voice was very. He was like just tired and mad. No, he has a deeper voice.
Yeah, his voice is deeper than that.
Yeah, it's great. No, but
speak at his grandson's funeral. Then like his son died the very next week and all. Yeah, but anyways.
Okay.
That's another conversation.
I'm gonna I'm sorry, I just want
Did you? I was say yeah. You can say
comment
say
on
your piece and like.
healthcare. That's what I was
Now, what was it for?
about the healthcare.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So y'all, I had a situation. Now where I work at, I make great money, you know, and I have great insurance. I got great insurance. So I had a situation where I got sick. You can see I'm really kind of losing my voice. But I was treating myself, doing like I was drinking my teas and doing my herbal healing and stuff. And I, you know, it was getting a little worse, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't viral, so I went to the doctor. So I actually went to the doctor. The copay was $100, and not only did I leave with no prescription, they didn't find out what was wrong. They said I healed myself, took my money, and when I was in the doctor's office, he didn't have the scope, so he pulled out his phone and looked at my throat. I'm like, I could have did this at the crib, and then. They don't. Okay, first of all, they didn't have none of these.
Where did you go?
That you put them in your ear or nothing. Like he didn't look at my ears or nothing.
We need to get the
This is in Blue Island. Do not go to Blue Island Healthcare at all.
We need to go get them investigated. Hey, open your mouth up.
Now, you go to most Chicago hospitals, there you might find something you don't like.
And I just want to say the lack of oh my God, give a fuck for just POCs in general, yo. They do not care.
Yeah, that POC. First of all,
They
I'm
don't care
not
if
to get a
your
POC
insurance
because I'm like, hold on. I got POC. I'm this the highest one. Hell no. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't give it. No, it was fucked up because for me, I walked in there with good health insurance, and I still didn't get any fucking health care.
Yeah.
Didn't get any health care, and my voice is still going. And they told me that I healed myself, but yet I still feel sick. So,
because that was the
Right.
message. So we have to understand as people of color and as indigenous peoples to this planet,
They don't
guess
care.
what? We heal ourselves. We heal ourselves. That's it. And you have to understand. We have to understand.
Mexicans,
herbs.
you too.
because we always been in science.
All you Latinos.
No, Mexico's a very, very magical land, point blank.
Yes.
The amount of stuff that goes out there that naturally, like that, all that knowledge on that exists.
The fields, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just look at American history. You look at the history of North America, and it was the Mexicans who were in the fields with the Filipinos, with the Chinese, with the Japanese.
Yes.
Let's be real. All the individuals who understand the medicinal qualities of the earth.
Yeah.
So we have
And they
to
withheld it from us. They put all the information that we had about
Thank you for
They
bringing
pushed
up that point, though.
They pushed it to the ocean. They took all our artifacts that we had about healing, all that stuff that made us great people, and they pushed it off into the Atlantic Ocean.
But thank you for
and
proving
then
up
said they can't get it.
a big point that you made, especially with, I feel like, our culture, Mexicans. And, you know, we suffered through a lot of horrible conditions with, you know what I mean, work in those fields and things like that. But again, it was done because who had better knowledge of these lands and how to cultivate them. You know what I mean? A lot of these things that grew, nobody knew how to grow but our own people.
Yeah.
And again, that built our agriculture to where it's at now. Because all of this that was here, just in the Americas point blank, a lot of stuff agriculturally was done differently and is adapted to this day, done how it's done here. Not anywhere else in Europe, anywhere else. And it's a skill set that, you know, America was also built on. Aside from a lot of stuff that we built on.
Yeah.
We were in the
people
lab
do more
rats.
than that.
Yeah.
But my ancestors were no lab rats. We'll talk about that in a minute.
No,
but let me just be clear about where I go to get my herbs, because I make teas, I make tinctures, I make all types of stuff for my body. I go to the Latino stores, because guess what? They're gonna have the herbs for cheap. They're gonna have every single herb that you gonna go to Whole Foods. They ain't got it at Whole Foods. But you go to the nearby bodega, I bet you gonna have them herbs. I'm talking about horsetail. I'm talking about metal, everything, exactly. Everything you need, you can go there and get what you need.
And we ain't taxing.
Not taxing. Not at all. And then when I need my prep candles, I go straight to the back and they got the herbs in the middle. Al. I go to the back and get my prep candles.
If you have good faith in herbs, look up if you buy Mexican herb, Arnica. Arnica.
Arnica, yeah, Arnica. I call it.
It's one of the most. Yeah, no, Arnica. Anise is very different. Arnica is for bruising, anything where blood clots and things like that, to inflammation. It's one of the greatest things ever, and it grew out in Mexico like naturally. So you can make tinctures with alcohol and things like that. Some people mix it with weed, marijuana, leaf, in order to heal your bone aches and everything. But it's
right now.
I put this faithful. The pomades and stuff, every time I go to Mexico, I come back. I got kids. As soon as they get a bump, I'll put it overnight. They will not have a spell. So I have faith in the natural way, and I don't go to the doctor much. A lot of it because I'm a man and I ignore myself. No, I really do. It's just the reality of it. It's like, oh my God, my kid sneezed. I gotta take it to the hospital. Oh my God, I might have broke my leg. I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Right, for real.
Like, you know what I mean? It's a sad truth, but it's the truth. But I know that I have more faith in nature as far as, because again, my dad is one of those people who just love to grow things, who had a lot of faith in nature itself. So I learned a lot of things that I didn't realize I learned until later on that were actually useful from this man, where I used to look at him like he was crazy because nobody else thought like him. And he was very spiritual, and he was a person that protected himself often, because I come to the realization that he was attacked a lot because he was a really big-hearted person who really tried to change everything around him. His dad left him, his family. And in Mexico, it was a bigger tragedy than out here. Like, literally, you were treated way different out there if your dad walked out on you. Like, you were way less. It was a saying would be, "Oh, poor Chinita." Like, that was like your normal greeting, because they knew you didn't have your father, or your father went on. So to carry that on and to be, in my eyes, you know, he did some things that had consequences that were illegal. But I know that every time he was with us, he was the man that cooked. He always hugged us, and to this day, it's something that I hug people on the regular and greet them. And a lot of people realize never had those hugs, and they square up with you and like, hey, and you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing, but again, you don't realize a lot of these things because sometimes they seem weird to you, but especially if they seem weird and they don't harm anybody, look into it. You know what I mean? Any Aquarius mind, like if something seems weird and you know it's a bad outcome, I understand. But if it's just weird and it sparks curiosity, look into it. Chances are it might be something really interesting that might be there for a reason for you.
Yeah, that's and the more I explore, the deeper I go on my spiritual understanding. Like, it's the truth of the matter. Like, we can talk about spirit all day long. I just know that I was at a point where I was gonna kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Well, especially when I was on my rites of passage, it was a 9-month process. It was the beginning of March, and I remember talking to my preceptor and talking to the sisters who were in my clan, being like, "Fuck this! I don't give," because everything that I had to heal from had come to my fucking eyeballs. You get what I'm saying? I activated the healing, right? So it's like, all right, energy.
That reminds me of a meme. You hearing about spiritual enlightenment and you going through it?
Shit. I was ugly in the motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Just snotty, just ridiculous. And I literally had to go through. I remember, and talking about astrology, this is gonna be a good segue. I remember my preceptor being like, "Come over." So I went over to the lodge, and she was like, "You're gonna be in sanctuary for 3 days." And so sanctuary was a process where you fast, and for 3 days it's just you and God, you know, and whatever intuition tells her to do, she brings that to me. So I might have to read the Bible. I might have to do that time. I had to read the Bible. I had to do some yoga, and there was something else I did. The last thing I had to do was have to get an astrological reading. Okay, it was the astrological reading, in addition to the yoga and the other like fasting. But it was the astrological reading saved my life.
Were you fighting it?
No.
Getting the reading? Because I've always had a thing where I've expressed that I don't like people reading. I won't let people, because I've seen a lot of people around me, close to me, get taken advantage of in these readings. You know, power snatchers, people that want you to believe in them more than what the outcome may be, not caring about what bad faith they might put in front of you, bad karma. So
I dealt with that energy, but I didn't recognize.
But you were already in a place I feel like you had trust.
Yeah,
to where I never feel that out of people, especially if you meet somebody one day and the first thing they want to do is read you. I fight that off and I protect myself against it because I feel immediately that this person is not just deceitful, but they already have malintention.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I've walked into that, and I've walked into certain scenarios where I felt it, and I might have given off an energy like stay out of the way, and it carried on with me. But love conquers all, and then especially in the spiritual realm. If you were attacked, anything else, try hugging somebody you truly love and who truly loves you. The power of that healing can fend off anything else, because when you're expressing love is when you're at your most powerful, because you're literally giving it willingly to somebody. So when you got that much power, anything else I feel like trying to cast over you isn't anywhere as intense as the feeling of love you're giving out. So I feel like that's a good combatant to anything. You have somebody close to you that you can truly embrace. And in that situation, literally, I felt like my head was swelling, and I just told my girl, like, I just need to hug you. I hugged my kid, and literally in an instant, it was just completely gone, that feeling. You know what I mean? But my point is that it's trust, especially spiritually, has to be gained. I feel like, you know what I mean? And I do have certain fears into delving into it. Tell me to. But if I do have the power I feel I have, I don't have the guidance I need. So I'm never going to jump into that and let myself go through that.
Yeah, and we all get guided like in different ways. Like, what was weird, like, I never knew what tarot was till about May of last year. And I walked into the thrift store and I was just looking through stuff, and I literally got a right away tarot deck. It was just there. And I never knew what it was, so I'm like, I went and investigated it, and I'm like, okay, this is a whole new thing. But I was drawn to tarot, like, and that's one of the things. Like the other day when you guys were just talking about ancestors, and the day before yesterday, someone came to me, and this was way before this, so everything's been getting really spiritual lately for me.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor came to me, and she was just talking about spirituality, and I actually do heal people, but I don't place that yet, because I don't feel like I'm as much as I need to be, deep as I need to be inside of it to say I can heal somebody else, you know? So my neighbor came over and asked me, can I do a reading for her? Before we went into a reading, I really talked to her to see what was the real problem before I get to try to jump in somebody's energy. And I really just got drawn to read for her. So, and I just want to say, like, the day before yesterday was the first time I ever got to see somebody's, like, ancestors. Like, I saw like the sky, kind of, not the sky, but I just saw light in my I just saw like some crazy stuff. So,
but I feel like then your natural courses
and she
is
started
those cards, is that instrument, because I feel like those instruments find you. Mine are gems and stones.
Mm-hmm. See,
like naturally.
You ever try Reiki? You should look into that.
I really look into stones and their energies and carrying them and combining those energies. And even if people don't believe in the energies, I tell them it could also just be a thing of comfort, because they represent a certain energy that you want. So you remind yourself, this is what I want. It could be something just holding it and be like, you know, I want this out of it. This is why I'm carrying it, because I want this. And then it keep you on course sometimes. You know what I mean? But it's something I feel like that for everybody, they get these things as tools that they get into them naturally. So if that's what it is, it's like hip hop. Spirituality can be a lot.
Come on, baby.
A lot like hip hop, because anybody can showcase a part of it. And hip hop is DJ, it's MC, it's b-boy, it's graffiti. You know what I mean? And you could think yourself, I'm knowledge, but no, but I mean as in an actual role. You know what I mean? In hip hop, b-boy being one, MC being another. But the thing is like you said, I don't feel like I'm qualified to do this. Yeah. A lot of MCs are unqualified by standards jump, but they got a rhyme that may be raw.
That was the crazy
You know what I mean?
part.
And they need that placement. You need that. Sometimes it's that timing that makes what you're saying so relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So don't block yourself from being a vessel for somebody.
And that's crazy, because I really feel like, no, I know for a fact, because her grandmother told me she was in the room, and I told her, I said, you have somebody here for your family. It's here with you. And she started bursting, like breaking down, crying, because she said, that's my grandma. And it was her grandma. Like, I didn't see somebody's grandma. I just knew it was an older spirit that had passed on. And I feel like that was the first, like, and things have been getting crazy. So now I think I have like clairvoyancy. Like I have foresight, because now when I read my tarot, now when I pick up my tarot cards and I have to do a reading, yesterday I saw every card before it came out. And then it came out. And then I did this situation where
That's what
so I pulled a book.
Yeah, so
That's
don't
how- that's how
undermine
it is.
yourself.
Right.
Don't undermine yourself at all.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like, again, like hip hop or like anything, you can sabotage it if you want for be commercial. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right,
if these are people that are naturally in your circles and things like that, don't undermine yourself. They're coming to you for this. Just focus on it. Take it seriously. Because you not thinking you're qualified is one thing, but you not taking something serious when somebody puts a faith in you is a very
and
different
sacred words.
thing.
Your words don't have to align with your work. Like that's the message that's coming through, and that's what
And
I
if it's
felt
coming to you,
earlier too.
and I think
Like,
that's what God telling me now. It's like, it's like it's different when you're not aware. But now you are aware of what you're doing.
So why are you afraid to
So
use
now
the term third eye?
So now, it just couldn't come to me.
You know how to language.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No,
I didn't know if you were afraid to use
No,
it.
I knew what a third eye was, but
Oh, you're thinking of pineal gland. Like,
it just didn't the words just didn't come to me.
I got you. Okay.
But I know like I know my third eye, but it was just like I just feel like I'm getting colors now. Like I see colors of like I see like colors. Okay, this is the only way I can explain it. I had something I did a reading and I opened it and I saw the passage, but it was yellow in my head before I saw it. But I saw all the colors and then it came to yellow and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna open this because it's yellow. And then I found myself, I lost the page, right? I closed the whole book up. And I went back, I was like, okay, I gotta reread this. So I'm looking for the page, can't find the page. So like something told me, like Spirit told me, it was like, okay, you do the color thing again. And I did the color thing and I saw the yellow and I stopped right there and it was the same passage. I don't know how
Was that passage something along the lines of God?
it was along the lines of it was like God saying, like, why you don't believe me when I tell you something? Like why are you not trusting?
That's what you are.
Why are you double checking? Why are you double checking me?
Why are you double checking?
I know what I'm doing.
But wait,
What you doing?
yeah, but with yellow it comes the purity. There's a purity in yellow. A God characteristic in yellow.
Innocence and also in literary terms. Yeah.
And it's one of your chakras too.
The solar plexus.
Yeah, solar plexus, exactly, which is your third brain.
Yeah, that area. It's like something like
It's your solar plexus.
Yeah.
You said it.
And
you're like you have knowledge of something and you're like running with, like I feel like that's what that is.
That feeling in your gut is wisdom, power, pointed. That's where the song is talking about.
But I think a lot of this stuff, I think I had a Kundalini awakening in 2017. So I met a person January 17, 2017. And I know for a fact this month. Y'all know what twin flames are?
Yeah.
And I know that's how I got a Kundalini awakening. Because things start happening after that. And I don't want to blame a person because it's always been in me spiritually, but I think it low-key got triggered by another individual. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like somebody opened the door and like, this is the door.
I mean, a person definitely, I mean, if you believe
But
that
it wasn't, they didn't tell me anything. Like, this is what spirituality is. It's like I felt in my being that I was.
The biology of another person is a strong, strong force. Like, your reaction to another person is really, really strong. Your body tells you it. You might consider it discomfort or you're just happy or something else. But just meeting somebody, and a regular person is its own energy. Sometimes right away, you don't want to be a person in front of a person you met. So think of it this way. There's got to be one person that if you meet, you get a real intense feeling off.
And
we're going to encounter those people.
And I'm going to say this, so you're in a place right now where like you got to get grounded. You know what I'm saying? Because what's happening is you have a lot of terms. You know some things from here, there, but they not all grounded on one foundation. And it's like I've been where you are, so it's like it's a place of excitement because like, whoa, my gifts are opening up. Like, whoa, I'm beginning to see stuff that I wasn't seeing before. But you also have to understand that those gifts are not exclusive to you. And you also have to understand that it's going to take much practice and cultivation of the skill for you to get it, and you got to get to a point where you're not surprised by the magic of it. That you're not. I
feel like I'm like, so everything surprised me because I'm happy about, like, I be happy about life. So when I get something something new, like I don't know. It's like when I get something new, I just
So
feel like
surprise you or excite you, because those are two different things. Because if you're happy about life, then the word that resonates with that is excites.
no, I feel like everything
that
always.
content.
I feel like me as a person, my whole being is like I enjoy things and I don't indulge. I take things and I utilize them for what they are, and I use them when I need to. I don't indulge in.
I was gonna jump to that. Mentorship.
There's a big
Yeah, my grandmother.
Okay, mentorship and definitely like I would say guidance within that. Anyone that has like some.
And then this, but you know what? I saw this situation before it happened. I was told that I would meet my soul tribe to enhance my abilities. It's like I know that I'm leveling up in frequency to be drawn to more people who are at higher frequency than I am. And I that's what I enjoy most. Like, it's other people who are higher than me that can teach me how to be a higher frequency.
One thing I'm learning about that too, and saying where a lot of us in this room are probably experiencing that. Those challenges, like when you're in the room with forces like that, because they have like complete ancestral backing or support or guide, it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, but we're all different.
And it's like
people,
not even like sometimes it's gonna be difficult good, sometimes it's gonna be difficult.
Like we're all different energy beings. Like, okay, we're like some people like I just want to say that our whole deities cannot fit in this form.
No.
So, and then it is souls who've been through these cycles who know way more than other souls, new souls and stuff. And then it'd be like, why can't this person understand? Like, I would say that like a normal person, normal people that you always felt outcasted when you had these type of conversations with. They'd be like, man, why you can't, get it? But it's for everybody to have, but not everybody's gonna get it.
Not at this right moment. It might not be the time to get it.
Yeah,
Could we play one of your songs too?
Oh yeah. She played Wake Up
Yeah.
because that.
All right, we're gonna play Wake Up by Ching. No worries. So
I got 7 hours of sleep. That's my record this year.
And I gotta work.
Yeah, this can help.
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have to transition in a bit.
Okay.
But I really feel like
Thank everyone so much for
I
tuning in. I
also feel like
appreciate
that-
it. Thank you. Follow and support Warden's Midwest. Come drink coffee at Stockyard Coffee. Support Ching's music.
And
Is it available everywhere? Is it
yes, it is.
available everywhere? And please make sure you go to Amazon.
Yes, go to Amazon. Yes, indeed. Look up "Let Me Be Free" by Tuyeni Akanke. If you are on Apple Music or iTunes, you can also find "Let Me Be Free" there. And I believe I'm also on Tidal. So, and I have a station on Pandora.
All right.
So I'll let you hear.
But yeah. But what I don't know, like, so my whole family, we're like a big collective of different people, but we're all spiritual in our own way. Like, my sister is a Hebrew Israelite, and she's been one since I was little. Like, so she wears her fringes and her blues, so she's real true to the Hebrew Israelite thing, and I respect that. Like, I respect that, but she kind of forced it. It's kind of forced. Like, if you're not this, like, she tells me I can't see my niece, my nephews unless I have a dress on. Because it's out of respect, and I do it because it's like you, but you should respect me. If this is your God should respect you for who they are, because they're God. I don't know, but that's what your worship should just.
But I think that I
I
understand. I completely agree with you in a certain aspect. But I feel like when a parent is talking about their kids and what they don't want exposure around their kids, it's a different playing field. Only because a parent has to guard their kids. Now, they don't have a bar on what's right and wrong. Like, they don't get told as parents, you got to teach your kid this and that. They don't abide by those rules. So if a parent has it, essentially they're doing it because they're trying to protect their kids.
Right. Yeah.
So I would just say that to a certain extent you have to respect the parents' choices.
Yeah, and I still do.
And that's the only. Now, as an individual, of course, why can't you accept me if you know where I come from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But how about she won't acknowledge me as her own sister because I don't wear it. Because I'm not her natural name. Like, she doesn't call me her sister. Like, she completely changed her name. She doesn't. I haven't seen my nephew is 3, and I haven't seen him for a day in my life. And they live on 111, and I live on 100.
So you're gonna have to learn to shift your narrative, especially.
But I definitely changed my life for her. Like, I definitely
Change it for you, not for her.
like. I feel like I changed. I put it down what I feel for the sake of me seeing my own kids. Because it's not about me or you. It's about them knowing me as a person. At least they gotta identify who I am. But you can't at the same time you can't shelter them because show them that this exists, but tell them this is what we do, you know. It's teaching racism if you ask me. Technically, it's teaching racism. Like you're better than them because you abide by the laws. You know? So it's like I still love her though. Still my business. It's like, come on, we still so blessed together.
I live in DC where the Hebrew Israelites sit on the corner every Friday and literally talk negatively about white folks.
Yeah.
Like, talk negatively about everybody who wasn't who shit for life. And to be quite honest, I can't deal with that. No, I can't say black, white, orange, purple.
Too much negative extremism.
You kind of covered that. On our personal stuff, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be the bigger person to be in your family member's life. You know what I mean? And yeah, but it's okay to take your ego out the way.
No, yeah, I just learned like, and you know now I know that my sister loves me. She's just a troll because she watches all my Instagram stories. She makes sure I'm okay and stuff. And I feel like I love you, sis. Like, why would you want to be like this?
I think that it matters to have the courage to step up and have that conversation.
What are we listening to right here?
It's called Wake Up. It's by Ching.
I'm like,
Coffee in the morning with a blunt in my hand. I can call you in the morning, but I know you got plans. I know life is getting better, so I never give in. I got souls up in my back, so I've been living within. Mom's on the lost track, I guess she drinking again. Can't on know it's all bad, doesn't pay for me. I got 2 missed calls from my sister and I might call them back later, cause they watching the kids. Sleeping in dirty clothes, or I'm watching the kid. Yeah, I carry heavy clothes, I don't want to this bed. Wonder what he gon' spend. He said a dinner and a movie. I've been waiting 2 years for this nigga just to show me.
She got
I tell my kids how to school me. Pull up to his crib, and you clapping my booties. Showing me swings, like talking about boobies. You can catch every last moment like
Cadence is great.
that's in my heart and my soul. Niggas let you down, but they never let go. And I just look around like I'm let go.
Don't let go. That clock is so long.
And that's the truth. It's the spiritual cuts I had to do. Like, niggas trying to pick me up.
Right? It's like,
But a woman can do that way easier than a man can. To where a man's like, okay, I ain't never gonna talk to you again. Love so bad. It gets to that because, a woman can really just say,
I'm sorry,
I don't care if I was
down all day. I'm
first. Made up my mind.
Yeah, I've been driving all day. I can't sit down no more.
And a caffeine.
Yeah, that too. And I'm tired, and I don't want to get sleepy.
You're about cracking one of your
I don't have
cars.
to get ready.
Never let go.
Yeah. But then I said at the end, I don't want to wake up without you. So it was still love there. Like, it was like, I might want to kill you, but I'm still there.
No, but a woman will still have love there, but know how to just completely cut it off.
Man.
Cut the person off, not the love. The love's gonna be there. They know that, but they can cut it. So where a guy, if he still had love, he could say, "Oh fuck that, I ain't never gonna mess with you again for this, and this reason." But a month later, she's like, "Damn." But I know why.
Who was the producer on that track? What's the idea? And I love the easygoing, like that melody, that type of production reminds me of one of my favorite producers from Japan. And he produced from one of my favorite animes called Senrai Shampoo. His name is New Jobbies, and he's awesome.
Okay.
What about him?
The production reminds me that's like really easygoing, like jazz, like simple jazz, simple like a little piano or something like that. And it's like but your flow over, like we were talking about, is just like really, it's so reminiscent of like full bars. For a long time in hip hop, I feel like a lot of people do like half bars or quarter bars and like, with the bar go, but you were like, I did something, and I want to wake up. Breath. That's a full bar. It's like giving somebody a full bar. So that's reminiscent of like definite like true MC.
True MC, but it's you know what MC's the first part of MC was to spit knowledge. So you can spit knowledge or even a complexity with a full sentence, like you said, instead of with vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to catch a vibe, but at the end of the day,
What are you saying?
You're just in a way. All you're doing is bobbing. You're not really getting anything out of it except for the feeling to want to move. You get what I'm saying?
What? That's my biggest thing. As an artist who doesn't get instant gratification, it's like, should I dumb down my lyrics? Should I dumb down my sound?
Artists will not get
Should I
instant
just make the
gratification.
vibe? Like,
Especially dope artists.
because I could easily, like, because as of yesterday, I did just create a vibe, and I actually felt like I created fast food, and I felt disgusting. But I'm like, this was too easy, and he was like, this is gonna make us millions of dollars. But it's like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I ain't even gonna cut. Like, I really felt like I sold out, and I just feel like I sold out. But anyway, I always co-produce. I started off as a producer. I used to produce on my own. But I didn't use like Pro Tools or nothing. I was on this cheap ass audio tool, so I was just really putting samples together, thinking I'm producing.
That's no.
But
that is production.
It
That is
started-
base level. That's literally what production is. Literally putting samples and sounds together. Even if you get the keyboards and all that stuff, those keyboards are sample sounds. Most of those are not direct audio. Like literally, it's a sample sound and pitching up or down. That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's it. That's literally all it is. So when you say I'm just putting samples, that's literally all production is.
But I didn't produce that. Okay,
You're just doing it the hard way.
Yeah.
I literally, so me and my engineer sit down and we create together, and it's mostly me. And I'd be like, take that out, put that in. Let me hear this sound. Turn this up, turn this down. Can you change that pitch? Like, and I really freaked the beat to where I want it to be. And I think that's what really makes me like the beat more. And it makes
Come on back
me.
in here real quick.
Oh, sorry.
You said you like stand. I mean, you ain't gotta sit down. I think you'll fit in the screen if you want to stand down.
Oh no.
You sure?
But that's what makes the situation. I mean, that's what makes the song for me. Like, because so it was a whole situation where my producers didn't know how to produce for me, and it came down to the point where I had to go home, make my own beats, and like, this is how I sound. This is me. This is how I sound. So then it was like, okay, from now on, we're gonna help you make your beats. Like, you tell us. So that makes me fit in my beat better.
I'll take my hat off to those producers because I see that's like a rare trend in production. Like being able to sit down with someone and say, hey, this is what I sound like. Can you do this? No, I hate that. Take that out. And because you're getting active criticism that change.
Mm-hmm.
So a producer that can do that is in the upper tier to me. I don't think a lot of producers can do that. And when I think of other producers like a Timbaland or a Pharrell or a Swiss Beats or any of these newer producers, because some people are producing for themselves now, that's what I think of. When they sit down with the artist, when the artist has a hit song over that, it's because that artist will sit there like, no, drop that, take that out, turn that up, put my vocals higher, put me a sample in there, anything.
And then it was also them too, like, well, we don't like this. But I actually, so this is the weird thing about me. I feel like sometimes this is where I had a problem with my team because I feel like they didn't know the sound I was going for and I knew it.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like if you tell me this how you think it should sound, I feel like you're wrong because I know how it should sound. If that's rude as fuck, like some people be like, no, that's not how you create, but at the end of the day, this is how it sounded in my head. So,
having especially for like engineers and production, having a reference, like it's like, oh well, I'm not trying to be this artist, but if you could like, if I was on the radio, I'd be in between these two artists.
Yeah,
that's what I like saying that too because it's like I don't sound like them.
Yeah,
but I could be played in between these two.
Yeah,
artists.
but what do you do when you don't sound like anybody? That's the hardest thing. You guys,
To somebody you can. I think at the end of the day, it's just
because that's
the fear is that you're a copycat, that you're looked at as a copycat, and I mean anybody can pair you up with anything because words you can only use so many, or you can only pair them together so many.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, if your music keeps coming out of relevancy to you, then people can feel it, and it doesn't matter what you sound like. They want to hear your song.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to get to as artists. to a point where people just want to hear our song.
Exactly.
You know what
Instead
I
of
mean?
getting try to push them, because let's be 100. Producers try to push you in a lane, so it can be easier for them to create because most producers create from a one-track mindset.
Yes, they do.
But because they feel like they didn't make the beats for so long, you damn near can't tell them shit.
You can't come out, dude.
But see, that's the thing too, is that this is where you draw the line too. Sometimes you bring a person in to help you out with something.
Exactly.
And sometimes you just want their opinion. And that's when some people, when you ask for their opinion, think they can change your thing up. Because there's a big difference between, hey, how do you think this will sound better, and what do you think of this? When somebody hears sometimes, what do you think of this? Sometimes they think, how could they sound better? And that's their own ego.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So there's certain people that, like I would ask, what do you think? You know what I mean? And then there's certain people like, hey man, I feel like this is missing something. What would you put?
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta know the difference too.
Yeah.
But it's just explaining to somebody.
And
sometimes it's being like brutally honest, like, yeah, you think it's good or not? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not asking you to change it, I just wanna know. And sometimes you have to be brutal and they're like, damn, even if it gets a damn, at the end of the day, well, at least you understand why I'm telling you this, and I didn't just fakely go on, oh, okay. Because sometimes you just want to be like, all right.
No, for real. And you got to pick, the team is so important. Because sometimes you got people who will be like, who will try to change you, like, well, this is what's selling, so do that. No, you never want to do what's, you just don't want to do what's selling because it's not you. Because now you got 3 NBA young boys, and there's only 1 NBA young boy, and now you're dwindling the time spent in your career because you set it in the wave instead of creating a wave. Because at some point the wave is gonna die down, and now you're just fitting well.
So I want you to talk about the next 2 tracks. We're gonna play one, and then we're gonna come back and talk about both.
Okay.
Well, sorry. We're gonna play both of them and come back and talk about both.
Okay.
So what are the next 2 tracks? I believe one is called.
Oh, we haven't covered this too, but measles are everywhere. Prisons are getting quarantined right now for it. Detention centers are all getting quarantined. It's heavy in South America, but these measles outbreaks and everything else is becoming a real issue. Yeah, it is. Very much so.
Yeah.
So I stay outside.
Baby, look, and you do an alkaline balanced body so that you can commune with nature. Because when all falls down, when I listen to that shit,
Only thing gonna have them herbs.
all you gonna have.
But all of our plants are synthetic.
Oh yeah, but
I'm
sorry, I'm gonna explain it.
All of the plants we're eating are synthetic. Because the word makes you work.
This is
They can lie
crossroads.
about it. By law, they can lie. They don't have to tell you where food is from. Obama signed that law.
This is
I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying that it happened when he signed the law that you no longer have to really say where your food comes from.
This song is called Crossroads.
I'm back from Mexico. Whatever the country's for real.
I wrote this song because most of my lyrics are themed around love, but it was actually coming from me loving myself. So anytime you hear a song and you think I'm talking about somebody I love, kind of am, but I'm mostly talking about me loving myself. So I wrote Crossroads. I think I'm a melodramatic rapper. I do put fantasy in my. I'm a non-fictional rapper. That's what I like to say. I'm not a fictional rapper. Like I try to put what I want my life to be in my music because that's how I always created my music. And I feel like when I go into my music, I go into my brain and my manifestation mode. So I can't limit to. I try to less relate and more just sell what I'm thinking and try to relate to a lot of people because some people got money. Everybody ain't broke. So
I feel like respectively you're an MC. Right? That's what the true responsibility of the MC is for it to come from you, to come from a lot of thought, and that's what an MC is supposed to be. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be able to control people with your presence because your words are that impactful. So,
Crossroads. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I know where the money go. Last night took the long way home. I see where I wanna be, where I wanna be, not in front of me. And I drink way too much last night. Tripping,
I manifested this. I'm manifesting this.
in the office, and I want a day. Space and girls with fried rice, watch Netflix.
Are you talking about those seminars you can? I think
Absolutely. I will be in contact with you all for the next 7 days. So we can sit down and map out how we can look for all the things, take the idea and work on it. So I've nevertheless, and this wasn't the first time.
Right, we might have did this in the last one.
I'll tell you, all the time, it's look at this bag. I need you to have the shoes that match that size 10. Okay. In the bag too. Okay. So whatever first
you spend my whole time on my
you see your ancestors, you be like, Tuyeni need another copy.
Send her the same things out there.
Peace and love.
But yeah, that was about Crossroads.
This next one is called.
This is some chill stuff. Like, I made a happy song about spending all your money and being broke. Because usually everybody be sad that they be broke. But I wrote a song about being happy and broke.
So did that so revolutionary in a revolutionary way. Big timers. Ain't got no job, but I stay shy.
Those lyrics were so sad.
It's sad, but it's like, damn, that's so trifling. But damn, I can see myself going through that. You know, I've seen it.
It's realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Like
fuck, you already broke, you gonna be sad too? Shit.
Got a quarter tank of gas in my new E-Class. Like,
okay.
My cash, that's confetti. Down and come with me. Where my money go? Where my money go? Spending my money, not my time. Where my time? Where my money go?
We go to jail. I got what they say.
Take the next flight to land at my beach. To work pretty fast, they wanna see me. Where my money go? Where my money go? Ain't got a dime. On my time. Where my money go? Where my money go? Out of my pocket, take the guitar out of my content. Where my money go? Where my money go? Take it to the state, to the state. Down by the ocean, over by the lake. Where my money go? Where my money go? Get outside. Where's the sheet? Where my money go? Where my money go? Take it outside. Get outside. Where my money go? Where my money go?
And I really focus on not staying in your lane. I really don't. I mean, some people feel like you gotta stay in your lane for people to understand. But I feel like the lane is me. So people know it's the chill. It's the same vibe, but it just be a different. Like I got this song called Full Pockets. I actually didn't send it to you, but it's on iTunes. But it's called Full Pockets, and it's really like reggaeton, like shake your booty, twerk type of vibe.
yeah,
I could be woke and I could make it twerk song.
that's true.
And that last one was called, that was still Ching. And that last one was called Money. Apologize, I'm blocking her face already.
Money go.
Make sure they Make sure y'all check that out.
Okay, yeah, this project is out. It's called Cash Only. It's out everywhere. I also have another project called Blunditis. It's out everywhere. I'm actually right now working on a new project. I don't even tell y'all about it, but this is the first time anybody heard about that.
What's the name of the project?
I'm not gonna disclose that. Okay. They just know it's new and it's coming soon.
Make sure y'all follow her. That's
Ching on Instagram. Ching on Twitter. Ching. My fan page is Ching on Facebook also. So yeah.
Did the Chingy have anything to do with Chingy eyes? Louis reference?
So growing up, I got a fish face, but my grandma used to call me Chick. So one day I was like, Ching, I was like, that's fucking hard. So it was like 2012. And my brother was like the traditional brother who used to make hella fucking beats off the table. So they started me rapping like, my brother really started me rapping like he used to produce beats off anything. Like he was a beatboxer with his
So he gave you the pedestal and just basically shouted you out so you could go ahead.
Oh yeah, he made my first rap name, and it was Dwayne Nisa, which was so trash. I'm like, okay, we not gonna do that. So I came up with Ching, and it just stuck, and I'm like, okay. And plus, like, I fake Slim look like a chicken, but I'm with it though. Not like the gobble gobble, just like the little turkey face.
So where can they? Are you having performances coming up?
Okay. I will have some performance lined up, and early. Well, we're in the summer now, but no early summer, like June. I'm really working on visuals because I really need visuals. I don't have any visuals out, so I'm really gonna work on visuals. And I've been noticing that I have a lot of powerhouses watching me, and I really wanna I have so many outlets to just get my music out that if I just really diligently work on it, it's no excuse why I can't make it to the degree that I want to be at. Like I got people from Good Music watching me. And I don't know if you know who DJ Victorious is. That's my cousin.
Is it DJ Victorious?
Yeah.
I was sitting there with him in the green room at Sub T before that show got shut down.
Yeah.
Shout out DJ Victorious, bro.
Yeah,
We
I love
still
you
need you on the show.
because
Stop playing and come through.
Come on, Jay.
He won't drop anything this time.
No, yeah. That's my big cousin. So
I'm sorry.
I got people in high places, but I feel like I kind of got held back by my team because they kind of didn't know what to do with me at one point, and I kind of still don't know what to do with me. I know that's kind of rude to say online. We're gonna be one.
Just tell them to take. This is what
I'm gonna be one.
You're the captain. I'm like you are the captain of this because it is your art, and when you are, I'll say what my professor said to us. Your art is your baby.
Yeah.
Seriously, and people think that's a joke. It's like we treat it like that. If someone takes your song, you will want to kill him.
Yeah.
If someone takes your song, you will want to put bodily harm. It feels that because you put your soul into that song. You know what I mean? So when you have that, and when you have that sort of relationship with someone, when you have that relationship with someone, you're like, okay, we're following this child together. We're raising this child together. So if we're going to, you have to take my input, so I'm taking your input. But if you're, in this case, this is probably what it is. You are a step parent. I'm the real parent.
Exactly.
You have to listen to what I'm saying. I will take your advice, but this is my child.
And the most humbling thing that happened to me, happened to me was I was sitting 2 rooms down from Kanye, and I was at the Waldorf Astoria, and with Kanye's PR. And he literally told me and my whole team that whoever y'all working with, you need to stop working with them and focus on her because she has it. And he said, like, basically, he even explained in my inbox, he was like, if you get it on your own, hit me up. Because that's how much I believe that you can get it going. And it was just like, realistic that, it was this conversation I was doing what I need to do. But it's really essential that you have a strong team, who will let you steer the ship to like greatness, I guess. Still shout out to my team, even though y'all sorry. So I fucked your bitch, you fat butt though. West Side.
Make sure y'all follow Ching. Once
Yeah, we
again,
can get out
make sure
of
y'all follow Tuyeni and Akanke, Dope and Divine on Instagram. Once again, this is Brother Impact _KC. I'm Brother Terry Tertiary, and this is WMW. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Turn up and turn around.
Turn up and turn your life around.
There it is. Oh, I like that one.